Songs of Syx is easily one of the most complex games I've ever played, with a similar learning curve to the Paradox games. In this beginner's guide, I'm going to show you how to reach a town of 500 population and conquer several towns with a small army. This guide will be so easy to follow, even grandma would understand. I created a Notion checklist for you to use and follow along. Feel free to copy the template for your own use. And there are timestamps to help you revisit parts of the guide later. With that out of the way, let's dive right in. So we start a new game, pressing play, go to random game. Don't mess with any of these settings. We're just going to leave everything on normal. We're going to pick the Talapi, which are all the way on the right. These are basically like elves. Don't worry about any of this info. Just ignore it. We're going to pick these guys and confirm. You probably won't have any boosts in your account because if you're brand new, you need to unlock these. We'll go over that in a separate video. So if you have the screen, just confirm, cancel it. And then on the choose map type, don't mess with these. Just generate the map. Now, what we're looking for is anywhere in the middle of the map. If you go to the far north, you see here at the top, it says climate equals cold. And there's a bunch of bonuses and debuffs, and then down at the very bottom of the map it says warm. We don't want that. We want to pick something in the middle where it says temperate so we can get these pasture bonus at plus 50%. And ideally what we want to do is we want to find a piece of river that we can spawn around, like something like this would be fine. There are a lot of resources on the map, although I wouldn't really worry about it because we're going to be getting resources either through trade or through conquest. Make sure your temperate climate is there so you get the bonuses. Make sure your fertility is as around 100% or higher, and then make sure you get a bunch of river around the land. So there's something like this with only 3 pieces of water near. I would probably prefer to have something more, maybe 5, 6, or 7 pieces of water near. And then finally, just make sure the forest is pretty good. Usually 50% and higher is good. I even don't mind going 100%, but any of these would be fine. I'm just going to pick one. Now, as soon as you load this part of the map, hover your mouse over the top where it says Inspect World, and then you're going to see a bunch of kingdoms. You can see all the ones that have a color on them. Those are actual kingdoms. And then what we're really looking for, the ones that in like a dark gray color with a red sword right next to their name. These are what are called free lands. We want to make sure we have at least 1 or 2 that's somewhat close by. So in this case, we actually do have a couple that are nearby, but let's say you had a spawn that did not. Let's say you're in the middle of a big kingdom, like over here, there's no free lands over here. What we're going to want to do is up here at the top, click regenerate. It's going to respawn all the kingdoms and redraw the map. So you can see right here, we have another one, only one this time though. So maybe respawn until you get a couple if you want. 1 is fine. We're not going to need too much more than that for this guide, but make sure there's at least 1 within 1 screen length. And on the next screen, we are in the actual map where our campaign is going to play out. There's 3 things that we need. We need to make sure that we are close to water, and we need to make sure we're near 2 types of food sources. So we need to have at least 1 patch of cows and either a patch of pigs or a patch of fruit. So the fruit is signified by these apples. The pigs are this little pink thing. Pigs or sheep would actually be fine. Either these 2 animals would be fine, or apples and the cows. They need to be near each other. So for example, this would not be good because while the cows are close, but there's only 1 type of food here that we want. The other one's pretty far away. So if you get this, just respawn, just regenerate the map. If you don't see the regenerate button, you have to zoom in a little bit. You see, as soon as I zoom in, it shows this landing party. So we'll click regenerate, and it's going to go ahead and load up a new map for us. And again, we see the cows out here by themselves, unfortunately separated by water, and the fruits. We're going to regenerate a couple more times. I went ahead and stuck with this land. This is pretty close to the water. If you hold your right click button, you can wheel your mouse around and see how far something is. So for example, from here to the water is only 72 tiles. That's pretty close. From here to the animals is about 100, and to the other patch is about 100. So if you're within like 100 to 150 tiles of your food, that's fine. And then try and stay about 100 or less away from your water line. You don't want to be too far from the water line. So something like this is actually perfect. So we'll go ahead and run with this. So first thing we're going to want to do is build some warehouse space. So come down here to the government tab, logistics, and up to warehouse at the top. Now, unlike most games, Songs of Syx, you have to build your buildings from scratch. You have to design the layout and then the interiors, exterior, everything. What I recommend doing, just kind of follow along how I'm doing this. So this is your little throne room. We'll be deleting this later, but we'll use it as like a guiding area. So line up the corners, go ahead and give it 1 tile of space, and then drag it up and over till you get a 6 by 7. You should be just a little bit above this one right here. And then up here at the top, we're going to add some crates because this is where the storage is actually coming from. And we're going to increase the size of this to a 1x7. You can increase the size two different ways. You can see here, you can increase or decrease the size of whatever it is you're trying to do. It's much easier if you just hold control and mouse wheel. So mouse wheel up to increase, mouse wheel down to decrease. So we're going to go to the biggest size. We'll put one on both sides like that. Now you notice we can't put any more in the middle. And the reason being there's two rules that you have to follow when you're putting down any kind of interior things in the buildings. You cannot block anything that needs to be accessible. And this plus sign box, this means it has to be accessible from at least one tile. You can see right here, it's red. So we're blocking those other ones in. The second part is you cannot cut off part of the room, meaning every tile that's available in the room has to be accessible from every other tile in the room. So if I decrease the size by 1, you can see it opens up a little tile. They can walk around now. So we could put 2 of these, or what I recommend is just mouse wheel all the way up, get the biggest size, and then rotate this thing. You can rotate by pressing R or clicking this button right here. You can rotate how you want it to look. A double right here. So this is a 2x6. And then a couple 1x7s. Now we're not quite done yet. We have 2 more things we have to do. The people that we're using, the Tilapi, the elves, they really like wooden buildings. And currently we're building a mud building. We don't want to do that. So we're going to click this button right here. And then we have 4 options. We've got grand building, stone, and wood. So we're going to switch it down here to wood. And you can see it increases the cost of the building by wood, which is fine because we have literally a whole map full of wood. So that won't be a problem. The last thing we need to do is add some doors so we can actually get in and out. So we're going to put 2 down here in the bottom corresponding with the aisles. We'll put 1 up here on the top. We can't put a, we could put another one, but you'll notice when we put a 4th door, our isolation goes down by 9%. Now we don't want to lose any isolation because that basically means anything inside the building is going to degrade really fast. And degrading buildings are less efficient and you have to have a lot more workers, a lot of janitors to fix them up, which we'll be doing the janitor soon, but just know that it's not good. Keep your isolation at 100% unless you absolutely have to. So we're going to run with this. Let's go ahead and unpause. Now, when it comes to unpausing, there's 3 different settings you can choose. And even within those, some of them have more than one option. So like this one is 1x speed. If we double click it, it actually goes to 1/4 speed. So if you're, usually you would only want to use that in combat. So if you're trying to command your troops, but you don't want to pause it, you could do that. This one is 3x speed. This one is 25x speed. And if you double click this one, it's 250x speed. Hotkeys for these are 1 through 4. So 1 for pausing and then all the way up here to 4 for ultra fast speed. So let's speed this up till this building's done. And as soon as it's done, go ahead and pause it and then click on your warehouse. We're going to add a worker. So we do that by pressing this plus button right here to add a delivery man. We're going to increase the radius. If you look right here, the radius isn't too big. And this basically tells where we can pick up items. For your very first warehouse, just put it at 100%. You can scale it back later if you don't want them grabbing stuff. But in the early game, it's probably a good idea just to have them pick up everything off the map. We'll mostly be sticking near our base anyways, but you never know. So add a worker, 100% radius. And now we have to assign crates because we aren't allowed to stuff anything in here unless we add crates to allow it. So let's put 3 crates per meat. You can do that by pressing this plus sign right here. And if you want to remove crates, it's this one. By adding 3 crates here, we've used up 3 out of 22. We can add up to 22 crates of storage, and each crate holds 80 each. So 8 times 3 is 240, so we can have 240 meat. We need to add 1 for rations, 3 for stone, 3 for wood, 1 for livestock, 1 for grain, and 3 for leather. And that should be good for now. We'll have to add more later, but this is a good way to get us started. Now, before we unpause, we have a few more things we need to do. Number 1, we need to go gather some food. And now that we have a warehouse, they will actually hunt. They'll grab the animals and pull them back and then butcher them there. So to be able to hunt animals, you come down here to jobs, click on hunt, and then we are going to click and drag our mouse over maybe three pigs, and we'll do maybe 2 cows. Something like that should be fine. Now, if you were lucky to be able to get some kind of forage, like the apples, the fruit, under that same menu, jobs, at the very top, you do forage. You can just click and drag, and that'll put a box around it. Now, as soon as these are available to be harvested, your workers will come out here and harvest them. And this is one of those reasons why I recommend increasing the radius of your warehouse, because if you come out here to harvest this, your people won't actually pick it up unless the warehouse has a radius large enough to pick these up off the floor. As I mentioned before, you really don't want to be doing stuff past maybe 150 tiles from your base, maybe a little bit more. So I'm going to delete this. If you were pretty lucky and you had, within 150 tiles, I would recommend doing that right away so you don't forget. And you don't have to do it every season. It actually stays on the plant until the plant's destroyed. So every year around the midsummer, they'll go collect it. Now, it's 6 days from the start of the game until your foraging stuff is ready, which is why I usually prefer to have animals, because animals, you can basically harvest them whenever you want. We're going to go collect those. Before we unpause, we need to put down a few buildings though. So come down here to Service tab, Health, and Hearth at the very top. We're going to increase the size of this. Again, same thing. It's shift and mouse wheel or plus button. Get it to a 7x5, and then we're going to line our corner up here with our warehouse, and we're going to go down 3 tiles. So we want to leave 3 tile space because we need to build some things in between here. It'll make sense soon, but just know that you need a little bit of space between your buildings. So there's the hearth. Same thing. We're going to go to service, health, and well. We're going to build a bunch of these support buildings. We're going to increase the size of our well to the maximum, which is a 5x5. Line up your corner with our hearth and then add a space. So it should look something like that. And then back to service, we're going to go entertainment this time and speaker. Line your corner up, give it a space, and then you're good to go on that. So that's speaker. We got 2 more things to build here. We're going to go services, distribution, and food stall. And again, line your corner up, give it 1 space, and then we are going to click and drag until we get an 8x4. So the food stalls, we do have to build them manually. So we build an 8x4 so that we can build the maximum size without any wasted space. So go ahead and increase the size of your stall to the 8x2, and then we're going to build it like this. Now you'll notice you can actually build a 8x4, but it doesn't actually let you place it down. You can get around this by decreasing the size and just doing this, rotating it and doing both sides. A little strange. I don't know why they do that, but it is what it is. So go ahead and do that. Press OK to construct. And then one final thing here before we unpause is the shrine. So this is going to be under service, religion, and the Shrine of Crater. You'll notice if you hover your mouse over, it'll tell you how many current worshippers are of that religion. So the elves generally stick to Crator and a little bit to Athuri. So the brown one and the green one. The brown one is always going to have more though. This is 70% of our people worship that one. So we're going to go with that one first. And again, we're going to put it right down here, line the corner up, give it a space, and then we should be good to go there. So now we should be okay to unpause. We're going to make sure we can get all of these buildings done. However, one thing you'll notice as we construct, we are going to run out of stone. And so I'll show you how to collect stone when that becomes a problem. And also these guys went and grabbed the meat. You'll see the meat show up in here in storage. So we should be good there. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause it here. You'll notice this building has some exclamation points. So this is a problem because it means that we are short on some kind of supply. As I mentioned, it's stone that we're short on. We don't have any in our storage, and we only have 6 out of 12 here needed to build. So go back down to jobs, clear rocks, and you can see rocks all over the map, like this little brown spot. That's one right there. Usually what I recommend doing is just doing a nice sweep. And anytime you see your red squares turn into green, that means there's a little clump of rocks that can be harvested. Now, don't go crazy with this. Like, don't come up here and just do this because your people will literally spend all day doing this and nothing else. So you don't want to do that. Also, if you ever want to delete something quickly, just hold shift and then drag it over it again quickly. Otherwise, you have to come up here to delete jobs and then click and drag to delete stuff. It's kind of a pain. Just hold shift and you can do it. So we're going to collect these 5 clumps of rocks or stone, and that should be enough to get these done. There we go. And as soon as we're done, go ahead and pause. We're going to open up our food stall, which is this one right here in the middle. We need to tell this food stall what food types to carry. It's not really going to matter for here, but if you start to play the game consistently with multiple races, you're going to want to set these things up so that the food that they deliver is what the people like. So in this case, we only want to have eggs, meat, and fruit. We only have meat right now, but we leave these active. Click off everything else to make sure that they don't carry it here because the elves don't want to eat it. So that's good. And then we need to build some housing because right now we have 10 homeless people. So we really don't want that. We're going to come down here to services, home, and house. Now there's 3 different types of buildings here. There's an apartment, there's a house, and then there's a longhouse. You'll notice each one gets progressively bigger. The apartment holds 3 people, but it only costs 40. The house costs 54 and holds 5, and the longhouse is 10 residents at 81. So you get more than double the residents for just about double the cost. In general, don't bother building anything but longhouses. It's just not usually worth it. So we're going to come down here. Now you can also build more than one. We want to build a bunch of these things. So if you hold control and you mouse wheel up and down, you can go all the way up to, I think, like 15 or something. You can have 30 in a row. I don't recommend this longer one because it kind of, people have to walk all the way around this with giant thing, but we will build a decent amount. Let's build 3 for now. We're going to line up our corners here with the top of our hearth right here. So line that up. We're going to back it off by 3 tiles. So make sure there's 3 tiles distance between there. And then again, make sure you should still be on wood if you did it correctly earlier, but if not, just make sure you're always building wood with the elves. They don't like anything else. So that should be good. Let's build those. Now I'm going to pause it here before these houses are built. You'll notice up here we got this yellow arrow show up, and that means that there's people that want to move in, but they're not allowed to because we have to either do it manually or we have to set up a limit to automate it. So go ahead and right click on this and it's going to bring up this screen right here. Don't worry about any of this stuff. We'll cover that very soon, but right now we're just going to look up here on the population screen. You can see there's one person that is wanting to move in, and we could either authorize them manually or we could set up a limit here automatically so we don't have to constantly do this over and over. As a beginner, I do recommend, if you're not following this guide, you probably want to do it manually so that you can control how many people move in. You don't want to starve your people. If you're following this guide to the T, I highly recommend setting it to automate. We're going to go straight from 10 people all the way up to 500 without stopping. We won't starve. You just got to trust me. We'll keep on top of our food. So we're going to authorize that person to move in. You'll see they immediately move in. We've got 11. So we've got our first immigrant. Now, very important, let's let these houses build, and then we need to add a couple more things here before we start producing some food buildings. There we go. All the houses are done. Let's go ahead and pause it again, and then we're going to come down here to the construction screen. And there's 2 things we need to do. First, we need to add some decorations. So go ahead and click on decorations. And up here at the top, you see there's a menu here where you can choose between different ones. You can add lighting, you can add a bench, flowers, a bunch of other stuff. We're more interested in the trees because you can see the tilapia really like the trees. So we're going to add a bunch of these. Now it starts off with a 1x1. We're going to increase the size. Same thing, hold control and mouse wheel up twice to get a 3x3. Now you notice it's got this radius of these plus signs going out. This produces something that the tilapia like. So the more plus signs we have, the more they will like it. The more people like it, the more they're likely to move in. And you could see they like what we did here already. We built housing and a bunch of infrastructure. We've already got 18 people that moved in. That was really fast. So if we continuously provide them things that they like, they will continue to move in quickly. So up here at the top, our doorway to our top house, we're going to go ahead and put a tree right in the middle so that the middle of your tree lines up with it. So just like this. And this is why we wanted to have it 3 tiles width, because we can't build it on top of our buildings. So we want to put it right in here. You don't need to build it every single house. I usually do every other house, and that's enough. You can see there's some overlap, the radiuses of these things. So that'll be exactly what we want. And then before we click off of this, let's go up to our storage and we'll build one in the middle of our top doorway. And also make sure you don't cover up your walls. If you do that, you're going to screw up your building. So don't do that. Just put it right here in the middle and we should be good there. And then we've got 2 more things to do before we unpause. We are going to go back to construction and we're going to go to structures. Now the tilapia like this thing called roundness. They don't like things that are straight edged like this. They want to see things that are round. However, there's a lot of misinformation on YouTube and other guides on Reddit that I've seen. So you don't have to have round buildings. You just have to break up the edges of your corners and stuff. So what we're going to do is at the very top here, we're going to turn stuff into, or we're going to build some extra walls here. So we want to click on wood because that's what they like. And we want to click on this button right here for wooden walls. So we're going to build some wooden walls. We're going to build one on either side of our tree that we just built. So build those 2. And then we're also going to build one directly next to it. And the reason we're doing this is because roundness is measured, like I said, if you have something like this, that is not round in terms of what the game considers round. However, if you have 2 things diagonal, this is considered round. So you don't have to have like a perfect circle. Like this has roundness because it's got these corners, but you could also do it like this. This is also round according to the game. So like I said, don't worry about making round buildings. It's horrible. They look bad, and they also are really bad for design. They use up a lot of space. So you don't want to do that. Just build it like this. Put your little corners. And again, the straight walls don't actually count for the corners. You have to use it with the corner of the building, and you also can use the doorways. So you can see here's a doorway. So we're going to build one right here, and then the diagonal will be right here. And then this one diagonals right here. This doorway diagonals here, and so on and so forth. You can see it goes all the way down. So if we do it like this, it's actually quite efficient. Same thing up here. We put our diagonals to the doorway here, and then diagonal up here, and there we we go. It'll make a lot of sense in just a second when I show you the screen and why we're doing that. But just trust me, we got to put all that down. And then finally, we're going to put some roads down. So if you go to construction, go to the road, and then it defaults to the dirt road. And you'll see right here, the fulfillment is 50% for tilapia, even though it's just a dirt road. The tilapia like dirt roads for some reason, and they're really easy to make happy. This is going to help us quite a bit. We want to drag a road all along the frontage of our housing, between our housing and our infrastructure. Same thing right here, between our warehouse and our infrastructure. And then we want to build squares all around the stuff that we built so people can walk around it just like that. Oh, and also I forgot a tree up here on the other side. So we'll build a tree up here on this side of the warehouse as well. All right, so that's a lot for them to catch up with. Let's unpause so we can get that done, and I'll show you exactly why we're doing that. Also, we need to keep a very close eye on our food. In general, you don't want to go less than, say, like 50 food if you are less than 100 people. That's kind of what we're going to look at right now. As we get above 100 people, we'll probably move that target up to maybe 100. You don't want to go less than 100, but for now, just below 50, that's a problem. Go collect some more meat. If you've got fruit and meat, make sure you add the two together. So let's go collect a few more animals. Let's hunt these two and then maybe two more over here, and that should be plenty. So we've got everything built. Let me show you exactly why we built these. If we right click here on our people, or you could do it up here in the top left, you click on the plebeians, and then you'll see a bunch of info pop up. So again, there's a lot of information here. Don't worry about most of this. I'm just going to tell you about the important things. And then as you get more comfortable with the things that I'm showing you, you'll probably understand what the other ones are just by inference. Come down here to the access tab. We're going to see housing. You see this bar, green is good, red is bad. So every time we see a green bar, that means that people are getting loyalty and happiness from this. And then yellow means that it's decreasing. Blue means that it's going to go up. The green is going to fill up to that point. The yellow / orange, whatever that is, means it's going to decrease down to this point. So as we recruit more people to our town, there's two things that are going to happen. They don't like immigrants. Nobody likes immigrants moving in of their race. And it's specifically to their race. So like if we had multiple people, different types of races in our town, if you immigrate a bunch of one type, the other ones don't care. It's only the ones that are the same race. So they don't like that new people moved in. Over time, this will decay and it'll go back up and we'll get more fulfillment. That's just one of those things we got to deal with. Same thing here. As more people move in, it's going to chew away at our food stocks because there's more people. We need more food on stock. Food preference, we're only going to get a little bit here because they like 3 types of food, but we're only supplying them with 1 type of food. So we're not going to get the full bar there. Like I said, they do like being housed. So there's housing there. And if you come down here one more to services, all the stuff that I told you to build, this is all the things that we're getting plus loyalty and happiness to. So that's why we wanted to build that. And then one more, go to environment, and you'll see there's a couple things here. You can see our road preference. That is increasing because we built a bunch of dirt roads and they have a 50% happiness for that. Roundness right here is going to go to 100%. That's why we build those little tabs near the doors. So they really like that. Harmony is going up. This one's a little harder to do, but we'll get it eventually. Just keep building trees and then you'll be fine. But you can see the more loyalty and the more happiness we have, the quicker people will move into your town. And also in the later game, it keeps them from rebelling and getting pissed off and fighting and causing riots. So, but in the early game, you don't have to worry about that. You want this so that you can get more people immigrating into your town. So that's the main reason why we did all this stuff. Now we're about to run out of housing. Each of these holds 10. We can only fit 30 and we're already at 24 people. So let's go ahead and build maybe 2 more houses. And then same thing, every time you add a building or a house, make sure you throw a tree in front of the doorway, and then make sure you build your little corner pieces so you can get your roundness. You build those, add a road, and then you're good to go. And as we increase our population, we will unlock new levels, and that's going to unlock some bonuses as well as some buildings. You can see here we can unlock the laboratory. We're not going to build it yet because we don't have enough manpower to deal with it. It unlocks happiness, so 5% increase to that, and then immigration goes up by 50%. So we're going to get more people moving in even faster now, assuming we can keep our people happy. So let's finish this. There we go. That's all done. Let's go ahead and pause it again. So we have all the basic infrastructure that we need. We have housing, enough food for now. We probably want to increase that a little bit. Let's go ahead and hunt a few more. Let's go take some of the cows. These ones are a little bit more dangerous than the pigs. They tend to headbutt you a lot more frequently. So let's take maybe 4 cows. And then we need to start working on our food because we are going to run out. These animals will only last you so long depending on how big your population is. Obviously, we're going to go to 500. There's no way that this supports 500 people. So we're going to come over here to our agriculture tab, husbandry, and all rock pasture. These are the cows. It's the same animals that are down here. here, but we're going to build ones that are a bit more tame. We're going to come up here to our storage building at the other side of the storage building, and directly adjacent to the tree, we're going to start building a pasture. Don't worry about where you're dragging it to. Just make sure you're going towards the water line. So you want to go out this way a little bit, and I'm going to stop before we get to this big rock field because this is really labor intensive to clear. So I'm actually going to stop them before we get to that point. And this is also going to take us a little bit closer to the water line, which is what we want. So we'll probably go something like this. And then you can see from here to the water line is not that far, which is one thing we want for our pastures. These things need to be close to the water, and it'll make sense later. We're going to pump water inland so that we can get some bonuses for that. We want to get a basic structure set up. I would recommend doing something where come down here to the corner and drag it out. You want to get like a 30 by 45. So something like this, you can see 30 by 45. You can always double check it. Yeah, 30 by 45. Eventually, we're going to make this a 45 by 45. But right now, it doesn't make sense to do that because there's way too much stuff here for us to clear. It's going to take a long time. We need to get our animals in there and start making some food income from that. So let's go ahead and put down our gate. So we'll click gate, and we're going to put it directly across the street from the doorway to the storage house. We need that. We're stuck at 50% efficiency with our output of 38, meaning we'll only get half of this if we don't do anything else. So if we had huts, this actually increases the efficiency of the building. So we can throw a couple of these down up to 100%, and then you'll see now we're going to get the full 38 instead of 15 or 18, whatever it is. So let's go ahead and construct that. All right, so we're just going to speed this up until this pasture is done, and then we'll come back. And once in a while, you get pop-ups like this. This one says loyalty is decreasing. Don't worry about it in the early game. As I mentioned before, the reason your loyalty is going down is because this immigration thing is happening. You're getting a hit to your fulfillment. So their fulfillment dips down below the limit where they need to have people move in. You give it a little bit of time, and this goes back up to full, and then more people move in, and it goes down, then goes back up. It's just a cycle. Now, a bunch of people are working there. They're going to go grab the animals from the storage. Now, livestock is just a generic animal. It doesn't actually become an animal until it gets put into a pasture. So these animals will actually fulfill anything in the husbandry. So, for example, these livestock can be used for cows, worms, pigs, turtles, sheep, all of them. It doesn't matter. It's just a generic animal box, like Schrodinger's box, essentially. It doesn't turn into an animal until you actually pull it out and put it in here. There we go, up to 14. And we can fit up to 46 animals here, so we have some time. What will end up happening is every day we'll produce 0.68 livestock. Every 3 days we'll get 2 livestock. So every 3 days we'll add 2 more to the number, and then over time this number goes up as well. We'll probably end up with like 3 or 4 per day once this thing's maxed out, and then we'll be able to grow our animals in our pasture much quicker. So with that done, we have a couple things we need to do now. First off, we need to build a janitor. I had mentioned that before because these guys are the ones that fix up all your deteriorating buildings. And you can see here, this one has some degradation right up here. So degradation is 6.6%, and it just makes the building less efficient. So we don't want that. We can fix that by adding a janitor here. So under the construction tab at the top, janitor, we're going to line up the corners here. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3 tiles over. We're going to click and drag this way until we get a 5 by 3. So it should line up with your speaker that you built earlier, 3 tiles in between. We're going to build a workstation on the top row. We're going to build a 2x1 utility on the bottom row. We're going to add a little bit of size there, so mouse wheel up to get a 3x1. So it should look something like this. Add 2 doors, click OK, and then same thing, we got to add the trees. Add some walls so we can get our roundness, and then we're going to add some roads so that people can be happy walking on roads. Now, as soon as this building is built, we're going to turn off the AI. We don't want the AI to adjust the amount of workers. In the early game, it's not a good idea. In the late game, it's fine because you're going to have more workers than you'll know what to do with. But in the early game, we don't want the AI throwing our workers around. We want to control it manually. And there's one person working there. That's more than enough. He can repair everything here. So if you click on this building, you see these red boxes. This tells you that some things are being damaged. If you don't see a resource in the middle of the box, that means it's just a free repair. They just need labor. If you see a resource like this one requires a tree to fix, this is our hearth. It requires wood for this one and stone for this one. This one requires stone. So certain buildings require certain materials to be repaired. So you don't want to go crazy and build too much. You want to build exactly what you need to use with maybe a little bit of overage so that you're future-proofing your town. But you don't want to go crazy. Like if we were to build roads everywhere, this poor janitor wouldn't be able to keep up because the roads degrade really fast. Next thing we want to do is we need to build more buildings, but we don't have the right materials for it. So So if you look here at distribution, we could build a marketplace, but it requires furniture and we don't have that yet. So we're going to come down here to work, crafting. At the very top, there's a carpenter. We're going to build a carpenter. Again, make sure your corner lines up with this one and basically right on the edge of the tree. So something like this. We're going to drag it down 7 tiles. We're going to drag it over 15 tiles. So it should be a 15 by 7. And the reason we're building these only 7 width is because if you go any bigger than that, for example, if I build this real big, you can see these yellow squares right here. If you build it too big, these yellow squares will actually degrade the building. It makes it really expensive to build, and it also makes it deteriorate faster, just like the low isolation. So this is actually really bad. You never want to build a building with yellow. You can fix it by adding some posts in the middle, and you do that by doing this red button right here. So you can remove some room and turn it into a wall. You can see here it removes some of the yellow. So you can do it like that. We're going to avoid having to deal with it right now just by building this within the limits. 15 by 7, we'll go to workbench first, make this as big as it can go without going into a double wide, so something like this. And then we're going to scoot it back up to the wall, the top wall. We're going to rotate it, put another one on the bottom wall, so it should look something like this. That'll give us 24 spaces for workers, and auxiliary station we need to put next. And we're going to make this a 3 by 2 and put it along the top wall near these. It'll let us put it right here because they just need one aisle to get in there and get to their job sites. We're going to make this as small as it can go. So a 2 by 1, we're going to put one on the back wall right here. We're going to put another one right here. And then we need to add some storage. So we'll put one right here, make this a 4 by 1. And that's exactly what we need. So this building is fairly efficient. We could probably fit a few more things in, but like I said, for a beginner, this is a really, really good, efficient building. We need to add some doors. This is going to be a nice little lane that people can run through if they need to get through the building. So let's go ahead and construct. Now you notice this tree is kind of in the way, so I'm not going to double build on that one. Well, we will build one on the backside though. And we also will continue to put these little nubs so we can get roundness, and then we're going to build roads. And we got another level. We got 40 people. That unlocks some immigration and export and import depots. We don't have to worry about any of this stuff just yet. Let's just keep going until we get this unlocked. And again, I can't stress this enough. In the early game, make sure you're watching your food. We're good right now, but that won't always be the case. It is going to dip down. So make sure you're keeping an eye on it. If you see it start to dip down below 50 or something, come out here and hunt some more animals. There we go. We got our carpenter built. Now it defaults with the maximum amount of workers. We don't want that. We want to pull this back to maybe 12. But then we have the option in the future, if we have extra workers, we can throw more people on it. So like I said, you don't want to go overboard and build these things massive, but leave a little bit of room for the future so that you don't have to keep rebuilding buildings. And they're going to produce furniture by converting wood into furniture, but we need to add room for the furniture to actually go. So we'll go back to our warehouse. Let's add 3 crates for furniture. That'll give us 240 storage. And then we should be good to go. So we have 7 people available to construct and do other things. These guys are in here doing their thing. Our pastors are still being worked. So everything is looking really good here. However, we're going to run out of housing space pretty soon. So we don't want that to happen. Let's stay one step ahead of it. We're going to build another set of 5 houses this time, so we don't have to keep stopping to do it. Now, what we're going to do is increase the size to a 50 residents. So 5 houses back to back. We're going to back this all the way up. Now you'll notice if we build it like this is going to have 2 walls. If we build it like this, there's going to be 1 wall shared. We don't want any walls between houses because they don't suffer any penalties, and it reduces the building materials that you need to build these. So back it all the way up. The easiest way to do it is to go until you're red and then scoot back until it's no longer red. Then that will get you exactly where you need to be. If you do it from this side, sometimes you'll accidentally leave a wall in because it kind of looks like you're maxed out, but you're actually not. You can go a little further. So start where you're red and then back out that way. There we go. So we're going to build that house. Now this is going to happen from time to time, especially in the early game. Your neighbors are going to send you gifts. In this case, they're sending us 114 denarii, which is the money that we use, and 31 pieces of metal. We're going to need metal in the future, or in the early game, what I recommend doing is just selling all this stuff so that you can import more animals. We'll go over that in just a sec. Either way, whatever they want to give you, just accept it, but make sure you go to your storage house and make sure you make space for it. So in this case, we need 1 crate for metal. They're only giving us 30, so we got 80 per crate, so we should be good there. Let's finish this, and then we'll talk about our next step. So houses are done. We're going to come down here to decorations, and again, make sure you do every other house gets a tree starting from the outside corner, and then we need to build our roundness things and then some roads. We dip below 50 food, so we're going to pause here and collect some more. Let's go ahead and pick on the pigs. They're a little more tame than the cows. There we go. And as soon as you get a gift or you do trades, it doesn't happen instantly. You have to wait like a half a day or a day for that trade to actually arrive at your town. So you'll see here we got 31. What we want to do now is we want to sell this so that we can buy more animals. We can increase our livestock. You can see we're only at 18 out of 46. We want to increase this to go as fast as possible. So we're going to come up here at the top. You see this where your money counter is. There's a bunch of other info. Just click on that. And then along the top, you'll see factions. There's a lot of info here. Don't worry about any of this. We'll go over some of them. Really, the only important one in the early game is your factions tab. So click on that. And then over here on the left, the ones that are highlighted are the ones that you can actually trade with permanently. You could trade with anybody in the map, but really just stick to the ones that are closest to you because they're going to give you the best deals mostly. Let's click on this guy and it's going to, again, pull up a bunch of tabs. This game loves to have a lot of info in tabs, but don't get overwhelmed. We're only looking at the diplomacy tab here on the right, and we're really only looking at stuff down here right now. So we want to offer metal. So we're going to click resource under the offer tab, and then this plus sign will add just one, and they're going to pay us 84 for it. We want to see what the other guy is going to pay for us though. 84 and 79. So the first guy was giving us more. We'll come back here and sell to him. We are offering 28. We have to get something back in return, which in this case, we want to get money back. So you can see down here, we have a positive balance of 2340. So we add 2340 and it's off by 4. So you could just click plus and minus until you get this thing to balance out to 0, and then you're good to go. The other option is you could click barter and it'll add up here money. Sometimes it adds some of your resources though. So just be careful. If you click barter, sometimes it'll try and give away some of your items. You don't want to do that mostly. Just be aware there's 2 ways to do that. So we're going to accept that. However, be aware it also doesn't trade away everything on the first time. It'll save back like 10% for some reason. So you have to go in and do it a couple times. And you see we did it twice. Now it's all gone. We've got 2,600. It's not a lot. Let's see what we can buy these for. So we're going to go to the demand side and we're going to go to resources and look for livestock. They sell for 472, which is actually a pretty good price. 695. Yeah, 472 is much better. So we'll go back to the first one and we have how much? We have 2,600. So we can get up to 2,600 worth. So 2,370. This is good. And again, we can barter. And you see here, as soon as I click barter, it tried to sell some of our rations. We don't want to sell rations. If you do it again, it's going to have a bunch of stuff. We don't use grain in this playthrough, so we can just give away the grain. That's fine. So we'll accept. We're going to get 5 extra animals. That'll increase our herd and how many we get per day pretty quickly. So it does make a difference, even though it doesn't seem like it's a lot. Now we're starting to get furniture and we could build some of these other buildings. So let's start with services tab, distribution, and market. We're going to build one of these right near our food stall because they're very similar. So make sure you give 1 space. You line up your corners, give 1 space in between, and then we're going to do another 8x4. So drag it out to 8x4. Same thing as before, build your stalls to cover the whole thing. You can get one, just rotate them so that you can get it to go. Press OK. We're good there. We need one more thing here. So under services, health, lavatory. So we need to build a bathroom. We're going to have this thing butt up right against this. So we're going to have these share a wall. So you go right up to the corner and then push it in by 1. So if you do it right here, you're going to have a double wall. You don't really want a double wall. You want to share the wall. Get it right up in there. Click and drag it over and go down to an 5x10 like that. And then we need to add some toilets or latrines. Make this as big as it can go, rotate it, and put it at the very top. So this is a 3x7. Like I said, as big as it can go, put it up against the top like that. Now we need to add some basins so that we can actually get some benefit out of this thing. And we're going to reduce this down to a 3x2 and put it on the end like this. And that's exactly what we needed. We need to add some doors. So just throw 2 on the sides, 1 on the bottom in the middle, and that is more than enough. So click OK. Don't forget to add your trees, your corners, and your roads. Now, somebody else wants to give us stone. We already have a massive amount of stone, but we'll take it. I would much rather have something else, unfortunately, but that's okay. We'll take the stone. Yeah, if they give us something else that's useful that we could actually sell, it would be a lot more helpful. So we'll speed this up until these guys are done. And as soon as the market is done, go ahead and pause. And we need to go in here and adjust. So the market is basically what the food stall does, but it does for items that are kept in these people's houses. So if you click on it, there's a lot of things in here, but the Talapi, the elves that we're using, they only really like a few things. So click everything off except for wood and leather for now. They do like other things as well, but the things that they like, we either don't have access to or they're really expensive. So I generally don't recommend doing too much in the beginning. Just do wood. And because we have a lot of leather coming in, we can afford to give it away. So wood and leather, and then we need to come over here and allow these people to actually put stuff in their house. You can see right now they just have dirt floors, very basic. We can allow them to have access by going up here to the plebeian tab, go to access, and then down here you can see we got wood. We're going to click the plus sign until that's maxed out. So we'll allow them to have the maximum amount of wood and the maximum amount of leather. Now again, this is going to increase their loyalty and happiness right here, their fulfillment. So this bar is going to go up relatively relative to how many of these things we have filled up. If you have all these filled up, you'll get full. If you don't have them all filled up, you'll just get partial. So we'll probably get like 30% based on these two things, which is pretty good because this is a big category. It's 4 fulfillment versus a lot of the other ones, which are like 1 or 2. So this is a big category. So we'll do that. And then one thing I didn't touch on earlier is we can disallow our people to have certain types of food. So we really only want them to have eggs, fruit, and meat, because if you hover your mouse over it, you can see the tilapia over there on the far right. They don't like bread. They don't like a lot of this other stuff. Eventually, you'll want to supply your people with alcohol, so you would re-allow these at some point. But for now, just leave it like this: eggs, fruit, and meat. Everything else, turn it off. So now, over time, you'll see these people slowly grab items. Like this guy, they grab some wood, and you can see they now have wood flooring. These guys have hardwood flooring. They'll grab leather, and that'll, like, their bed sheet's different or something like that. So they get upgrades basically to their housing. And then you'll also see our population is going to spike here because there's a lot of happiness coming in between people having access to a market, which is one of the services that we need. So that's going to add there. And then we're also going to get our lavatory needs satisfied. That's that one right there. So pretty big. There you go. When the bathroom is done, the lavatory, go ahead and click on it, turn off the automation, and drop it down to only 1 worker. You only want 1, especially in the early game. You don't need more than that. Now, how is our pasture doing? So 25 out of 46. You want to keep an eye on this because as it gets close to being full, we're going to want to expand this out to be the maximum size. And then as that one gets full, we're going to want to build another one, and another one, and another one, and so on and so forth. We're going to need to build about 6 of these big size ones by the time we're done with this guide. So let's take a quick stock of what we got here. We've got housing for everybody so far. We've got room for 50 more people to move in. We have pretty much all the services satisfied that we could potentially do. We started building some industry here. We've got furniture, which we're going to need for other buildings. So we'll continue to produce that. We're still waiting for our animals to stock up. We probably need to add more storage space here. So let's work on that next. And what I recommend, rather than deleting the building and starting over, you can do a remodel. So if you click on the building up here, there's a refurnish room. Don't click on it just yet though, because there's something that you'd want to do beforehand to make your transition much easier. We're going to come down here to jobs and do a clear all. This is going to clear any trees or rocks that are in the way. Now we want to clear cut the path so that we can actually expand this thing without slowing down. If you remodel it right now, people have to cut the trees down, and that's time that you don't have access to your storehouse. You don't want that. You want to minimize the downtime. So let's add this. Let's add like a 20 by 9. So you're going to come down here to the corner, drag it out, do 20 by 9, and that should be more than enough. Let's speed it up, get these things all cleared. And as they start to finish that off, we can start working on this. So again, we're going to click on the building. We're going to click on refurnish room, go down here to the corner, and we're going to click up and drag over and make sure we can get this all the way up to a 27 by 7, I think is good. Yeah, let's do a 27 by 7. We need to add some crates here. So again, we're going to go back to the crates. We're going to do the double wide and just click and drag it across. You can use your arrow keys, your WASD, to pan the map. So what I usually do is I'll line it up where I need it to be. Here, I'll do it again. Line it up where it needs to be so you know this one lines up, and then just press A to go to the left, and it's going to drag that across. And these are spaced out perfectly. We need to add the one more on the end, just like that. And then we need to add some doors. So we don't have access from this side, which is what we want. So add some doors here. And then we probably want to add another door somewhere in the middle so that we can get more trees and more access. We want to build these trees everywhere we can. So that should be good. We'll expand that. Now you can see it's much faster and our storage is back up and running. Now, as soon as it's done, click on it and make sure that nothing got changed. You can see here, it got rid of our radius. So we need to redo that. It doesn't save everything for some reason. So no big deal. Let's add another delivery man to the storehouse. You can see there's some stuff piling up here. So we want to add another person there. We need to build our usual stuff. So go ahead and add your trees, add your roundness, and some roads. As I mentioned before, you got to keep an eye on your food. So we're just dipping below 50 right now. So this is a good time to pause and go down and hunt. Let's just hunt the rest of these pigs. Oh, somebody got killed. Yeah, he got blasted. You can see he dropped his clothes on the floor because he got killed. Yeah, somebody got mauled to death. People are going to be upset about it for a little while. The body will decay and then they'll get over it. Eventually, we're going to build a cemetery for them to get buried. But for now, we just got to leave it. It is what it is. So let's finish building our storage. And then let's go ahead and increase the storage space that we have on some of these. So let's go ahead and add up to 5 crates total to the meat. 5 crates total for the stone. We'll go 10 wood because we are going to need a lot of wood. So let's go 10 there. Let's add a second livestock crate. So we have 2. And then let's go 10 on the leather because we're going to have a lot of leather in this playthrough. And I think that should be fine for everything else. We'll leave that until we need to add more later. So there's one more thing we need to do. Well, 2 more things we need to do before we start moving into past the opening build. Number 1 one is we need to get some clothing up and running. So if you come down here to the work, crafting, and then you won't see it immediately. You have to scroll down. So mouse wheel down, you can see Tailor down here. Now we could build this manually just like we did over there. We could do a 15 by 7, put all the stuff down. But what I recommend doing is once you get a building that you like and it fits in your city layout, hold left shift and left click, and then you're going to build a copy of this. Now we don't want to build a copy exactly because this is going to build another carpenter. We want to actually build a tailor. So right here, there's a button where you can switch the type of room and we can build a tailor. So let's go ahead and come down here. And again, make sure your corners match and then push it in one so that they have a shared wall. So like this is double wall. You push it in one, that's a shared wall. We want the shared wall. Don't forget to add your trees, your corner pieces. We won't put a tree on this one because it's already really close to that one. Actually, you know what? Trees are cheap. Let's build another one. We also need to keep an eye on our janitor just to see if he's able to keep up. If you start seeing a lot of red squares, then you might need to add another one. But right now he's only being utilized 50%, so he still has a lot of room to grow. So he should be fine for a while. Now the tailor converts leather over into clothing. So we need to add some storage space for clothing. Let's come up here and add 5 crates. Let's also add 2 more crates to our furniture. Make sure we have 5 total. So I generally like to have a decent amount of these because we will start to build a stockpile, which is good. So on pause, you can see we'll start to drain some of that leather that we have, but that's not a problem. Now we are getting to the point where we're going to run out of housing pretty soon. We've got only room for 25 more, which is kind of a problem. We want to continue to increase our pasture space as well, but we're not ready yet. We've got only 33 out of 46. So I think let's build our housing first. You could go through and tediously build each of these houses, add the trees, add the nubs. It's really quite a pain in the butt. So what I recommend doing is build at least one that you like as a template and then come down here to settings. And in the top left, there's copy area. So go ahead and click that. We're going to come up here to the top left corner. Make sure you go enough to where you can pick up the tree. And then we're going to click and drag, and anything that we drag our mouse over is going to copy that area. So we have to come up here to this arrow key, and that's going to take the template, and then we're going to move it over like this. So R to rotate it. Let's go ahead and rotate it. And we want to make sure that we have 3 tiles between each of these. We'll line it up with the corner of this one. So corner to corner, we're going to go down 3, 1, 2, 3, and then over to the right 3, 1, 2, 3. So now we have a highway that goes this way. We have a highway that goes this way. People can move around and do what they need to do. The only thing that we'll want to add here is some roads because it didn't quite get the full thing. That's fine. And then you'll notice people that live here are going to want to go to work. We need to build a little bit of road access so that they can actually get there. Okay, that's done. Now it is time to hunt again. We've got only 14 food in storage, so that's a problem. Let's go ahead and hunt. We're going to take maybe half of this. So again, just take like 5 or 6 animals. Oh, yeah, like I said, the cows are much more dangerous. So I think we got 2 people that got blasted. Now, right here, our pasture is just about full. So what we need to do is we need to increase the size of this. So again, before you remodel it, go ahead and clear. We're going to come down here, this bottom corner. We're going to drag it up to a 45 by 45 like this. That way we can pre-clear it. And when it's time to expand the building, we're not having a bunch of downtime where we're not collecting food and stuff. We're actually cutting all these ahead of time. All right, this stone is taking forever, but that's just how it is sometimes. The stone, that's why I mentioned before, you don't want to build buildings on a bunch of stone if you need it quickly, because stone takes forever to build. So the stone's pretty much done. Let's go ahead and click on our pasture. We're going to, same button, the refurnish room. We're going to come down here to the bottom right, and we're going to just drag it up. Same thing, all the way up to a 45 by 45. We are short on efficiency, so we need to add 1 more hut. So we'll add a hut there, and then we'll be good to go. So this is going to build really fast. Yeah, there we go. So now we have a maximum size. Very, very important. We need more workers here because we before had one that 18 people were able to satisfy without any issues. If we do not increase the size of workers here, our animals won't get tended to and they'll actually die. So we need to add 10 more workers to this one. We'll go up to 28 in total, and that should be enough. And you can see we got 51 animals. There we go, 53 now because we're producing 2.5 per day. This is going to fill up incredibly fast. So what we're going to want to do is add 1 more pasture and just be ahead of the game here. As soon as this one's full, we want to have the next one ready to go so we can continue to produce food for our people. So same thing, we're going to shift click. We're going to build one. Make sure you leave 1 tile space between. So you can see right here, there's this little aisle that they can run down. That's very important. Make sure you have a little bit of space. And then we want to move this where the pasture gate is because right now they'd have to run all the way over here to get the food to storage. So click on it, hit the plus sign, and then go to gate. We need to delete the gate and move it over. So 2 ways to do it. You can hit this button right here, and then click on it to delete it, or you can just hold shift and then click on it. The shift is basically the shortcut for delete. And then we're going to build it directly across the street from this warehouse. So just like that. Now we got another pasture to build. We need 28 workers to be able to staff it though, so we need to make sure we have enough people moving in. So let's keep an eye on our people. And if we need to, we could always pull people back. So you can see right here, we actually burned through all of our leather. We're actually short on food again, so we need to go hunt some more animals. So let's go hunt again. Let's make sure we get enough food this time though, so we don't have to keep doing it over and over. There we go. And I'm going to pull some workers off of our tailor because, like I said, we don't have enough input to actually keep these people busy. So let's drop this down to like maybe 4. That'll give us enough people to clear this field fast and then have workers to actually support and start working it when they're done. This field is pretty much done. 3 days and they'll have it full. And actually, let's just kill off the rest of this herd. Killing all the animals doesn't delete the herd entirely. They actually respawn. The only way to delete an animal spot is if you build over it. So if you completely build over it, they will not respawn. We can keep killing them, not a big deal. Oh, I see, like we killed them all and a new one just popped up. Now, as soon as this is done, we'll allow all 28 people to work. There we go. So we click on it. It actually only gives us 27. We want to add 1 extra worker. The reason being is if you don't have all your workers tending to the animals, they will die over time and then you'll end up losing your livestock. You don't want to do that. So put an extra worker. Yeah, we're full on this one. This one should start to fill up pretty quickly. You can see when they're maxed out, this one's producing 3.5 animals per day. This one will start to produce animals as well, so this one's going to fill up exponentially faster than how quickly this one did. So we have clothing, which people need to be happy. If you go to your access tab, you can see right here, everybody wants at least 2 pieces of clothing. Everybody has at least 2. We don't want to go over. We could add more if we wanted to increase the fulfillment, but we don't want to do that in the early game. We just want to get exactly what they need to be somewhat satisfied and have people move in. At this point, we are pretty much done with the opening phase. We've got 2 pastures that will be full very soon. We've got a lot of storage space. We've got housing for more than 100 people more. All the infrastructure that we could potentially build without doing research. We've got 2 sets of industry right here. And actually, let's add some more back. Let's add maybe 4 more. Let's go 8 on that one. This one's 12. That's fine. Yeah. So we'll produce a little bit more clothing, a little bit more furniture. I'm going to pause here for just a second. This will be the next phase. We're going to go into admin. We need to add more research buildings. We need to unlock stuff, and then we'll have another phase after that. But this is a good place to take a quick break. What I recommend at this point is to create a save file, because if you mess anything up between here and the next spot, you're going to want to reload rather than go back and redo this whole thing. Unless you'd like to practice this first phase, that's fine as well. But I generally recommend creating a save file for each phase that we're going through, just to make your life a little bit easier. So I'm going to pause it here for that. Now, we've built just about everything we can build, aside from some food items that we aren't really going to be interested in doing in this run. We can't build anything else unless we add more research or health, entertainment. All these are grayed out because we need to research them. The only other thing we could potentially do is add more religious buildings. So why don't we do that? We don't really need them as much because if you notice, most of these are pretty low percentages, 10% mostly. And then we got the big one in there, but let's just do it. We'll add these. So again, under service, religion, just build 1 of each, and then we'll make sure they're touching because they can walk all over these. It's not a big deal. So don't worry about spacing on those. There we go. And we have 13 people that we can use for workforce, which is good. We're going to want to use about 10 people in our research facility. So why don't we start working on that? So we're going to go government tab at the top, administration and laboratory. These guys are the ones doing the research. This one, we could build it as a separate building. We could attach it. It doesn't really matter. I think in this case, let's just build it as a separate building. So we'll go corner to corner, give it 3 spaces. So we'll start it right here. And we'll build it in a square like this. This is going to be a 12 by 12. Now, we are going to have to deal with these yellow squares because our building's too big. So this is a good opportunity to kind of show you how to overcome that. Typically, what I do is I start at one side and I work my way down until everything's full. So we're going to start up here at the top. We're going to put as big as we can get here as a 1 by, you can go double or you can go single. I generally don't like using the double, so just use a single, put as many of those as you can get. You can't split the room into different sections. You have to make sure every tile has access to every other tile. So we need to reduce the size of this by 1. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to come up here to this shrink room button, and we're going to count in from the edge. So we're going to go 2 tiles of yellow and then a wall like that. And then we could potentially go all the way over to 4 and put a tile, but then you have this spot right here where you can't really fit anything. So we're just going to put 2 side by side. That pretty much gets rid of everything. We don't have to worry about it. Now we just put whatever we can fit in here so that it's nice and even. So there we go. Now we're going to go back the same way we were in the beginning. We're going to put one of these, and now we have this awkward spot where we can't really put anything. So what we'll probably do is either shrink the room or make it bigger. And I think in this case, we have 27 spots. That's plenty. Let's just shrink the room. So again, we're going to go to this one, shrink room. We're going to click and drag until we cut the rest of this off. So the room ends up being instead actually a 12 by 10. But like I said, at least you kind of learn how that all works. Now we can pick up one extra spot because remember, we're not going to be cutting the room off because we got rid of this bottom room. We can make this bottom station a little bit bigger. We'll get 28 spots now. Now we got to put some doors. Let's put 4 doors in each little aisle that we've got. We're going to hit OK. And we need to do some decorations. We got trees to build, some wooden walls to build here as well. And then of course the roads. Now we do have a spot right here where we have just empty road. There's nothing else going on there. Why don't we go ahead and throw up a decoration? We'll build a couple of them. There we go. And we got a research bench up. Let's go ahead and pull all these people back off. I generally recommend keeping around 10 to 50% of your population in research, at least in the early stages. Later game, you probably want to do more than that, but 10 out of 100 is roughly 10%, right? Because we got 110 people. That's plenty. If you got extra, you could do a few more, but I think we'll leave it right there for now. We probably need to build another pasture here in the near future because we're going to need to hunt some animals here. Why don't we do that? We'll hunt these. And then we're going to build another pasture here. Because this thing's going to, you saw how it is, it's going to take forever to build this thing. Because we need time for our research points to stack up. So essentially the way this research building works is every person that works in here gets a certain amount of research rate that they'll go up to. So in this case, it's 70 per employee. So we have 10 people working here. That'll be 700 research points. Now they don't get those points immediately. They get a certain amount per day that gets unlocked. You can see here our knowledge points are going up nice and slow. We'll eventually get to that 700 mark, but it's going to take a little while. So let's build some buildings while we're waiting. Now, while we're waiting for this pasture to get built, there's a couple things we could do here. You find your research screen right here. You go to this menu, the button we went to for trade, but instead of factions, it's the one just to the left of it called technology. Down here at the bottom, you see the civic. So this civic is where we're going to get a lot of our early upgrades. So we're going to unlock the proper burial, which unlocks graveyard. Let's take that one. And we have at least another 100 we could spend. So we'll do entertainment, unlock stage. So we'll do these two, and we need to build those two so that we can get the benefit from them. So stage, and we could put the stage somewhere down here. Let's just put it one tile away from our marketplace and one tile away from our religious shrines, and it'll be in this little area right here. And we'll give them some roads. Here we go. It's going to put 4 workers on there, and these guys are going to fill up. If you look at services, they're going to fill up this one right here for stages. Now, another thing we're going to need is a graveyard. So let's go ahead and build one of those. I would probably put this somewhere not so close to the center of your town. You want to save this center area for very important buildings like a tavern or a massage parlor or whatever. Any of these upgrades that we're going to do later under health and entertainment, some of these are pretty important, like the fight pit. Health, we've got like the barber, massage parlor. All these are pretty important to be centralized. The graveyard can be pretty much anywhere on the map. You don't want to put it too far away because people do visit their dead friends, but you want it to be not in a prime real estate area. So we're going to put it just on the back side of our housing here. Let's build something like a 14 by 8. Let's see what that looks like. There we go. So we got a graveyard set up. We're going to put on the top row, we're going to put a 7, I think it's 7 by 3. So there's 7 here, and then you put another 5 down here in the bottom right. You're going to put the largest tree possible in the other corner. Then we're going to put a couple flower beds, just put as many as it'll let you. It does block you in some of these, and then everything else gets filled in with a pathway. Really, with the graveyard, you just want to make sure your respect is 100% because this is what determines how much satisfaction people get from it. So if you have a graveyard with low respect, you'll be able to bury people, but they won't actually get a benefit from it in terms of their loyalty and happiness. You could make this bigger too if you wanted, but I think this is probably a good size. So no matter how big it is, just make sure you have only 1 employee on the graveyard because most of the time they're just sitting around doing nothing. The only time they work is when somebody dies, they have to go retrieve the body and bury it. And it's pretty rare that you have a death. So that's why even if you have a massive graveyard that wants, 5 or 10 employees, just have 1. And then if you have a mass casualty event, you can come in here and put more employees. The body's buried quicker and then take them back off later. So that should be good for now. Now we need to focus on getting this all-rock pasture up because our food is good, but it could be better. I don't want to have to rely on these animals to hunt anymore. If we can help it, we're just going to keep hunting every time they pop up. Just hunt them down. Like I said, very soon we're not going to need them. Now, we did run out of space for our furniture and our clothes. We're capped out on that. We have two options here. We could add more storage space for that, or we could just pull workers off if we didn't want to keep stockpiling. The reason you don't want to stockpile too many goods is we still have to deal with that spoil rate. So every year that we have this stockpile active at full capacity, we are losing 12.5% of our furniture and 10% of our clothes. That's quite a bit of material that we're just wasting. So we don't really want to waste too much. So I generally don't like to have too much of this stuff, and then I'll just pull back some workers. So like maybe for the tailor, we'll go down to 2, carpenter will go down to 2, and then as needed, we'll just add employees back onto there. Yeah, you'll notice this section of the guide, it's a little bit looser. It's not going to be, you know, build this exactly this way and don't put exactly this amount of people on there. It's more of a rough idea of what you need to do as opposed to exactly what you need to do. Hopefully you kind of understand the rationale behind it, because that's much more important than just following the directions. So we just need to speed this up. We'll clear this thing out. We need to put another 28 workers in there. We have 45 available, so we're good to go. We do have a lot of research points we can spend, so we should probably do that soon. Let's actually put a few more people on research. Let's go up to 15. That'll cover us 10% up to 150. So we're almost there. And then everybody else is going to go on this pasture. There we go. And we need to, oh, we don't need to add it. So it's already at 28. That's perfect. So that should pretty much solve our food issues. We're going to continue to increase production here by building more. We're also going to boost it by giving it bonuses, but for now that should hold us off. Now, a couple things we can do here, and I think the most effective way is to start working on our military, because it takes a really long time to train people, and we don't want to be waiting around for 10, 15 years just to have our people trained up. So why don't we start that right now? Let's go into our research. We're going to come down to sort of the middle section. It's called the crafting section. And on the right side of the crafting section, there's going to be right here the bowyer. You need to research this first before you unlock this. But if you click on this, it'll do both of them at the same time. So we need 300 points for that. There we go. We need 200 points to unlock this one. We're a little bit short, but that's fine. We can't build this until we get the other one going anyways. So let's go ahead and work on that one first. This is another one of those crafting buildings. So under crafting, bowyer. However, we already have the template. We're just going to keep using these. So we're going to build another one of these carpenters, switch it to a bowyer, and we're going to put it right next to here. Now you'll notice this building uses a lot of materials, one of which we actually don't have enough of. So we need 116 metal. So let's go ahead and add another crate for metal so we can actually import it. And then let's go do some trading so we can get that. So back to the factions tab. Let's see who's going to sell metal for the cheapest. So 238, that's really expensive. 252, that's even more expensive. So this place sucks for metal, but not much you can do about it. So we need about 120, which translates to about 32,000 denarii. So we need to sell some stuff to make sure we can actually do that. Let's see what we can sell. We have clothing, furniture, and leather. Those would be the most obvious ones. We also have some grain, which we don't want. We'll definitely sell the grain. We want to find where these are the best prices and which one makes the most sense. So the formula for clothing is 3 pieces of leather for 2 pieces of clothing. So if we were to sell 3 pieces of leather, we would get 108. If we were to sell 2 pieces of clothing, we would get only 84. So some instances, it does not make sense to sell the finished product. So in this case, we would actually lose money by doing this. We'd be better off just selling the raw materials that we need to actually make that. Don't sell the clothing in this case. Let's see. So we're getting 36 and 64. Let's go see what the other place has. 45 and 60. So we can sell our leather here. So let's sell maybe 400 pieces of leather. And then we're going to sell our furniture here at this place because it's offering a better price. There we go. So we sold as much as we needed to get over that 32K mark. Now let's go buy our metal. There we go. So they came and picked up all our stuff. Now we're going to be pretty low on furniture. So why don't we buff that back up so we can get those stockpiles there. And we started our bowyer. Let's go ahead and add up to 10 people here. We'll have 12 on the carpenter, 10 on the bowyer. We need to add another maybe 5 crates for bows. There we go. So we can hold up to 400 bows. Now we just need to get 200 research points so that we can unlock training so we could actually make archers, and then we'll be in very good shape. So we'll have it pretty soon. It's coming up. And we hit 140 people. We have the ability to make ration makers and army supply depots, which we will use both of these soon. And happiness plus 10%. So not bad. So our town's coming along nicely. Now you can see here, we are actually capping out on our food. This is one of those things where you do want to have more than you actually need, because as you remember, there's a happiness meter for having more days of food in stock. It's kind of wasteful to do it, but it's also also pretty important if you want people to be happy. So we'll put that up to 10 crates total for meat, and let's let some more time go by. We got 200 research points. Now we're going to pause. We're going to come back to our research and go to the very bottom. In the very bottom right, there's military, and we can unlock archery range. So let's take that. And this one is going to come over here by our warehouses. Now, I'm going to tell you why we decided to build these far away from our housing. If you come up here to this overlays tab, you can see a bunch of different things. So there's overlays for pretty much everything in the game. You can see we have harmony, which is what those trees are emitting. This is why I was telling you to build trees everywhere. You can see it's emitting harmony pretty much everywhere where people are roaming. This is really good. This is why they're happy, because we are satisfying that need. Same thing with roundness. You can see roundness is even better. So roundness is very, very strong pretty much everywhere that we have buildings. So that's good. However, there's another overlay for noise. So over here on the left towards the bottom is noise. You'll notice the only buildings that emit noise are these workshops. Now, some people like noise, some people don't care, and some people don't like noise. Tilapia, if you go to environment, you can see right here they actually do not like noise. And if you start to make their living spaces noisy, they will decrease their fulfillment. And so we don't want to have that. That's why we segregated it. It's not going to be in an area where there's heavy population. They're not going to be exposed to a lot of noise. It's kind of off in the distance. The same thing goes for the archery range. So if we come down here to the government tab, military archery range, we're going to build one of these. Just make this thing really big. We'll need to cut it down later. I don't remember the exact dimensions. So typically when I build my buildings, I will make the floor plan really big, and then I will build roughly what I want it to be, and then I'll trim the edges off. So for example, this one, we're going to make training targets as big as they'll let us make them. We're going to have them facing their back to these buildings, and then these two are going to face each other like that. We're going to trim the edges off like this, and then this is using the minimum amount of space to get this thing built. So let's go ahead and accept that. Build some roads so they can actually access it. And I totally forgot to build decorations for this building. Let's go do that. Even though I've got, I don't know, close to 400 hours now, I still forget all this stuff all the time. There we go. So archery range, they got access to it. Now, before this gets built, go ahead and pause it. We'll show you how to set up your military. So up here in the top left is the army tab. You can see there's some interesting info. This tells you how likely you are to get raided. In the early game, you're just not going to get raided. It takes several years, like maybe 15 to 20 years before you start getting raided. But in this case, we're more interested in looking at the actual units that we have for our military. So click on the army tab and it's going to open up this. The game defaults with 4 groups of 50 already created for you. Just select a bunch of them, disband them. If you want to select more than one group, you can click one and then shift click another one, and it'll select multiple. But we want to edit this guy, so go ahead and click on the one remaining one, edit, and then we can make this up to 100. So we'll put 100 people in this regiment. We don't have 100 people to spare, but only as many people as you have training spaces for are going to be sucked into the military at any given time. And in this case, this archery range is only going to fit room for 20 archers to train. So even though we have 100 people selected, only 20 are going to be taken out of the labor pool to be turned into soldiers. And the reason we want to go bigger than what we're able to train at any given time is because as soon as these people are done training, somebody else will come back in and take their place. And so you'll constantly be training your population, and you're going to need them to defend raids in the future. So in general, you want to have everybody in your town be trained as far as right now for the archers, because these guys are really good at defense. Eventually, we're going to have our full population as fully trained. It's just going to take a while because they'll rotate in here. Once they get their full training, they go back into the labor pool and they become, you know, a manufacturer, a farmer, whatever. But they still keep their training. So when it's time to fight, they still have all that. Let's increase the training of the archery. Make sure you do archery. This one's for melee. This one's for archery. This is going to give their bow skill a huge boost and their morale, and then we need to equip them with bows. Now, you'll notice it's going to ask us to equip 800 bows for 100 people, which you might be wondering, well, how is one person going to use 8 bows? The game has a very interesting way of calculating damage with equipment. So this is not 800 bows. Just think of it as stats. So every time you click the plus sign, you're adding more stats to your archers. So you can see right here at the very bottom, you see this bar right here. Every time we click, it's going to fill up more and more. So that's how much ammo, that's how much damage we do. So the more weapons we equip, the more damage we will do, and also the more ammo that we'll have to be able to spend. It's just, you want to equip your people pretty much the maximum every time if you can afford to. So in this case, we're going to go up to the full training, 100 people, and then we'll be good to go. And if you want to change this to a symbol that makes more sense, you can come in here and fiddle with this. I usually do something like this. So it's like a red bow with a black background. So as soon as this is done, you'll see it's going to suck out 20 people from our workforce. There you go, suck 20 out, and they're going to come in here and train. train. Now you can keep a track of their progress by coming back to the screen and hovering your mouse over it. It'll say needs to train. That's that 100 people that we had selected for it. And then currently training 20 and then fully trained 0. Obviously nobody's trained fully. It's going to take them several years to get fully trained. Currently 20 people are there, but we need to go up to a total of 100. So like I said, once these 20 are done, another 20 people will come in and take their place. And then these skilled warriors are going to go back out and have civilian jobs, unless we recruit them to go on campaign outside, but we'll cover that soon. Okay, so we are set. This is our military. We don't have to worry about really anything else for the rest of the guide. These 20 guys are going to cover everything. You'd be surprised how strong the archers are. They're basically like Fiend champions from Bannerlord. So we should be good to go with that. Now, two things here. We need to continue unlocking buildings, building more buildings to increase happiness and all that. And we also need to make sure that our food is very, very safe. So we don't have a whole lot to fall back on. So we're probably going to continue to build more of these pastures. Let's go ahead and shift click to build a duplicate. We're going to build it over here. Now this one, we're going to change the gate and have it on the inside right here. And the reason we're doing that as opposed to down here is because we're going to drop a canal with water going all the way from here in between each of these so that all these pastures can get a bonus. We'll draw the water in from here, which is why I said in the early game, you want to be within 50 to 100 tiles of the water line so you can get it into your pastures pretty quickly and cheaply. So we'll be doing that very soon, but we'll build this like this. We need to get a road back there so that people don't have to take forever to run. And then we'll give them some time to start working on this pasture. Now we are starting to stall with our immigration, so we can do a couple things to help speed that up. We are going to need some animals soon, but even when this is built, we don't have enough labor to start working it fully. So we're probably going to pause this. That means we don't really need the animals just yet. So let's go back into our Tilapia access screen, and then we're going to allow them to use livestock because this is one of those things on the list that they love to have in their house, and that will provide them some benefit. We need to also go to the marketplace and allow him to carry the livestock so that people can pick it up from here and get a benefit from that. There we go. So you can see the little livestock here is on the shelves. So people are going to start buying those and furnishing their homes with animals. It's going to use up all of our animals, but again, we want people more than we need the animals. Yeah, there it goes, went to 0. That's fine. These are all full, so we don't really need the animals until this is done anyways. And actually what we can do if we want to have some animals, let's just put this on half. So instead of using the full, if you hover your mouse over it, it'll tell you how many they want. They want 342 animals. By doing half, it's going to be what, 150, 70, 171. So they'll only need 171 to get maxed out there. And then we'll start saving some of these up. This is done, but we don't have enough animals and we don't have enough workers. So we're just going to pause this building. You can pause it right here. You turn it off. So let's make sure we have at least 28 workers on when we turn it back on though. So we'll do that, pause it, and we'll get our workers back. Now we've got some research points we can spend. And oh, I've noticed when you start to see buildings turn like this grainy, nasty look, that means that they're degrading. So you can see right here, degradation's at 20%. That's not good. That means we need to add another janitor in here. Oh yeah, look at all this stuff is getting really busted up. So our roads are not doing well. Our storage is not doing well. So a couple things, we could add more people onto here, which we should probably do. Let's just put 5 until we get all this repair done, and then we'll drop it back down to 2. I think 2 people should be enough to cover this. This is one of those things that you'll probably want to keep an eye on for most of the game and then adjust accordingly. So we'll let some time pass while we build up some people. We also need to unlock some more things. So we have at least 150 research points, and the next one we're going to do is this paved roads. This is going to do 2 things for us. So let's unlock that. Number 1, if we go to our roads, you can see here the dirt roads provide only 50% satisfaction. If we go to the paved roads, it provides 80% satisfaction. So we're going to get more fulfillment out of the roads, but very important also is durability goes up to 50% instead of this one being at 20%, and speed goes from 5% to 20%. So people will walk way faster on these, and they don't need to be repaired nearly as fast as the dirt roads. And you can see the dirt roads are having a real big impact on our janitors. They're having a hard time keeping up with the repairs. So you generally want to get rid of your dirt roads pretty quickly because they will suck up a lot of your labor in the form of janitors. So we're going to come up here and again, click on the cobblestone road, and you just build them over the top of all the roads that you've already built. And then moving forward, when you start building new buildings, just make sure you, instead of doing the dirt roads, you replace it with the cobblestone instead. There we go. I've got most everything replaced. Just this one up here. You'll notice that this is going to chew up almost all of our stone, which is fine because we can get it pretty easily. We have a nice little patch of stone up here we can rely on if we end up using all of ours. There we go. Roads replace really fast. So it's not a big labor project. It doesn't take too long. And like I said, this is going to make much easier for these guys to keep up, or our janitors. There we go. Now we could start working on our pasture again. We can unlock this one. Let's pull a few people off of our carpenter. Let's pull maybe down to 10 here. And then I think for the bow and arrow, we can probably drop this down to 6. That'll give us enough to be able to start working on this. So let's unlock our pasture. It's 28 people going to be pulled out of the labor force. Now, this is going to happen when you go real heavy into one industry. Once you get 100 workers in any one industry, you start to get an experience bonus. It's very small in the beginning, but once you start to get even higher, closer to 600, you're going to get up to 50% bonus. So if you hover your mouse over the skill thing, you see this additive experience is at 0.01. That's basically 1%. And if you look to the right of it, it starts out at 0 and it goes all the way up to the right side numbers, which is 0.5, which means 50%. So we go from 0 to 50% bonus, meaning whatever we're producing here, we're going to add another 50% to. So if we're producing 10, we're going to get an extra 5. Each of these, by the end of this, before we finish this guide, each of these is going to be producing right around 50 or a little bit more than 50 each. And we'll have 6 of them. So we're going to have a massive industry pumping out a lot of goods. Let's go ahead and speed that up because these guys the animals need to reproduce and we need to stock this thing. It's filling up pretty quick though. One thing that we need to do is figure out what we're going to do with our leather because it is starting to pile up and we're not really using it for anything, which means it's just sitting there and getting wasted. You can see right here, we've got 86 leather. This one has 156 leather. This one has 263 leather, just sitting there decaying. So we don't want to do that. We want to turn that probably into money so they can be a bit more useful. So let's finally get rid of our horrendous looking throne room with the mud walls. This thing's horrible, but that's what you start with. So if you come down here to construction and then up here move throne, we're going to move this thing just out of the way, just get it out of the way somewhere. There we go. Now this building is not something we want to use because it's not the right material. We'll go to remove it. So under the delete tab all the way in the right, smart remove, and then we just drag and click, get rid of all that. Now we can actually use this for something if we wanted to. Like, for example, we probably want to build some export depots. So we're going to build one. We'll line it up with the corner here. We're just going to do one tile difference. We don't want to put a tree up here because this is like really expensive real estate right here. We need to save it for our export depots. And then we'll do import depots on the other side eventually. And you can find them under the government tab, logistics, export depot. So we'll build 2 of them right here. Now, the way these work is we have to assign a worker, first of all, but we have to tell them where to get the resources from. So we do that right here, the pull source, select that. And then we have to tell it what material to actually sell. So in this case, we want to sell our leather. So let's go to leather. And then we need to tell it how much to sell. So if we click on this pull source, we can limit how much we want to sell. Right now, it's going to sell all the way down to 0%. We don't want to do that. We want to save a lot of it to be used in industry. So let's bring this all the way up to say 90%. Once we sell 90%, they'll stop selling. And then it'll build it up to 100 and then sell down to 90 and so on and so forth. The other thing is, you'll notice here it says you do not have a trade agreement for this resource. We don't have trade agreements with anybody near us. So we're going to have to actually do that manually, but that's fine. We'll do it right now. Also, this other import depot, just take the worker off. We don't have anything we want to sell just yet, but we'll build it because we will need it soon. Now we need to start a trade agreement. We go up in the top of the screen, go back to your factions tab, diplomacy, and you'll notice in the top here, there's a little icon for trade. So we're going to click that. They're going to want 6 grand for it. So pretty reasonable. And they're willing to trade a little bit of money and leather for it. That's perfect because we only have really leather to give. So that's actually exactly what we wanted. Now, there's 2 people we could trade with. You can see, unfortunately, the other one is going to pay us 58 over 43. So we only have a trade agreement with a guy willing to pay 43. If we were to start the trade agreement with this guy, though, it's going to be more because you can see the more population somebody has, the more expensive the trade agreement is. You can see this guy wants almost 10K for this. So what do they want? Meat, furniture, and bows, and a little bit of money. We could actually afford that. Let's do that because we're producing these infinitely, and then meat, we're not really in danger of going hungry, so we should be fine. If we click on this, you can see 58 goes to the top. Now we're going to sell stuff for 58 instead of 43, so that's good. So we'll let a little bit of time pass. Now we're starting to get more people in our towns, so we need to go back to our research bench and add more people. So let's pump this up to maybe 20, so we'll add another 5 onto there. And we're almost out of housing. We've been pretty good with housing, but we're starting to run out. So let's go ahead and fix that. We're going to go back to our settings, copy area. Just go ahead and drag and click that. Make sure you get all the walls. We'll line up. We'll build it right next to our existing housing. Since most of the jobs are in this area anyways, it's fine. Build another one, maybe right here. So make sure your trees match up so that way you kind of know that they're all fully lined up. There we go. So we should be good there. We'll build our roads. Make sure you're doing cobblestone. Get a little bit of border on each side, and then that should cover it. Only a day or two have passed. We've already made 26 grand off of this because we're producing so much leather. So we're selling quite a bit of it. This guy is just about full. So our other pasture's up. You can see right here, if you hover your mouse over any of these items that you're producing or using, you can see how much of it you're actually producing. So we're making almost 100 a day, and we're only using 17. So we have a net gain of about 93 per day. It's a lot of leather. As you sell more items, that price will go back down. Let's finish building our houses and we'll see what the next step is. We've got some research points we can spend here. So the next step we're going to do is go to our research and unlock some more things. Let's go to technology. We're going to go right below civic. You'll see this health. There's only a handful of them here. This one is really important. It's called plumbing. This is going to allow us to create that water pump and water canals so that we can get bonuses on the major industry that we're producing here. So why don't we start working on that? We'll start here with under the government tab, water and canal. So go ahead and build the canal. We're going to build it starting from the end and working our way all the way back. So we only want it a single line. Let's build it all the way. You can see it's going to cost us a pretty large amount of stone, but that's fine because we have plenty to spare. So just build it out don't build it into the water. Just build it a few tiles away. You don't know where you're going to be able to put your pumps. Well, I'll show you how to do the pumps in just a second. So we built it like that. The amount of pumps that you need is going to dictate on how far away you are from the water and how far away from the water your canal goes. So if you hold right click and then just trace the line that you're building, you can see it's going to be 167 tiles. And then you have to add another 5 or 10 to get to the water and to the pumps. So it's less than 200. You're always working in increments of 100 tiles. Every pump will push water 100 tiles away from the water source. So if you have 2, it'll go 200 tiles. If you have 3, it'll go 300, and so on and so forth. So go back to government, water pumps, and let's put these things so they line up with the canals that we built. So we're going to build one here. We'll build one on the other side, wherever it'll let us, like that. Now we need to connect the canal. The water comes out of this area right here where these little arrows are. So right here, we just need to make sure the canal at least touches that part. So let's go ahead and build these. Oh, somebody got sick. We're not going to do anything with that. Just let people be sick in the early game. It's not really a problem until you get thousands of people and then you have, 20, 30 people getting sick at a time. That could be a pain. But when you have only a couple hundred people and one person gets sick, oh well, they're going to die. But we're not going to spend a bunch of research points and money to heal them up. It's not worth it. And you can see these pumps do require some labor. So it's 6 people per pump to pump 100 tiles. And you'll see the math actually does make sense if you have a big enough industry. So here we go. The water is going to make its way out. There we go. So it takes a second for the water to catch up. There's like a daily refresh tick rate. So once it does that, it's going to fill the canal fully. The other thing is you won't actually see the bonus until 1 or 2 days have passed because the water needs to propagate through the ground. But you'll know it's working if you click on any of your pastures and you hover your mouse over the meat section, you see fresh water. Normally that's at 1.0. You see this one doesn't have any bonus. It's 1.0. If we give it like a day or two, and we should see that bonus go to 1.25. Nope, not yet. There it goes. It just jumped up 1.23. Another day it should go to 1.25. There it goes, 1.25. So you can get up to a 25% bonus for every pasture that you have, as long as one side of your 45 by 45 is touching a canal. If you notice, this water actually makes the area around the water green. It basically feeds all the plants and stuff around. The same thing happens with the way that I guess the cattle start eating the green grass, or who knows. You don't go above 25% though. Like if you were to do an entire ring around this, it would not add any more bonus than 25%. So 25 is where you max out at. And this is why we built these things with one tile between, because number one, we can get up to these to fetch the resources and bring it back to the warehouse. And number two, we have a lane where a single canal will touch 2 pastures instead of having to do it on the outside and having, these pumps only work for just one side. So this is why we set it up like this. So we should see a dramatic increase to our production here. Yeah, we were only getting 93 before. We're up to 121 just by adding this. Let's take a quick peek and see how our troops are doing. You can see they are 30% trained. Once they reach 100%, we'll start taking towns. So we're only a couple years out from taking our first town. So hang in there, we'll get there, but we got a lot of work to do before we can actually take advantage of that. If we go back to our research, there's quite a few things that we need to do here. We need to unlock more things that increase happiness. So like blood sport is a good one. We're going to unlock probably refined tastes. There's a bunch of things down here that we can unlock that's going to increase our people's happiness. There's a few things worth of industry that we can unlock as well. For example, masonry, we're going to do that really soon as well. If we were struggling on food, you could also put some points into husbandry. It's only 50 research points to get a 10% bonus, and then you can get up to 25 of these. So you can actually get up to 250% increased efficiency for your pastures. It takes a lot of research and usually not worth it. In the early game, it's okay to put 5 or 6 points into this thing. So if you really need it. Right now, we don't seem to be losing food. We're basically gaining food every day. So I don't think we needed to worry about that. Now, one thing we can do while we're waiting for a few more research points to come in and more people to move into our town, we could extend our warehouse, which I think we should probably do. We want to get it to be close to this pasture so they have an easier time putting it down. But like we did before, let's go ahead and clear everything out up until that point. So just get it up to maybe close to where this pasture starts, and then we'll build an extension for this. The other thing, if you're starting to stall on your people moving in, which it looks like we are, we're still at 13 people. We've been there for a couple days. Let's go ahead and add some more access. So go back to the access screen. We'll add another livestock for these people to put in their homes, and that should give them some bonus. So let's see if that helps. Oh, somebody died. Yeah, I was going to say we went from 13 to 12. Somebody died. If you click on your graveyard, you can see what caused it. And in this case, they died of a disease. So we didn't heal them in time. Oh, well, that's life. There we go. So a bunch of our livestock is starting to filter into people's homes. And you can see we went from 12 up to 16. So we're starting to get people to immigrate again. This is cleared out. Let's go ahead and expand our warehouse here. So we go back to it, remodel. We're just going to drag this thing out. Looks like it's going to cap us at 55 length. So let's just go up to that. That may actually not even be a good length. I'm going to do less of the, exact measurements and just kind of give you a rule of thumb to follow when you're trying to build your own, because your map's going to be different from this one. And you can see right now we're off by 1 tile. So if we want to build this right here, it won't let us. So we need to shrink this by 1. So shrink, put the last crate there, put a couple doors. We don't have any trees in this area, so we'll put some more right here so we can add more trees. And then that should be good. There we go. And again, make sure you redo the radius because it deletes that for some reason. Let's put a couple more people in the warehouse. Maybe like 4 or 5 should be fine. And then we'll add more crates to anything that we're running out of space on. Looks like everything is okay for now. We'll just leave it. Now, if we want to keep expanding, we're going to need to keep our people a little bit more happy than what we're doing right now. So a couple things we could do here. Number one, we're capped out on food, which means we should be raising this up a little more. Let's go to 15 crates on food. And again, remember, we could sell this, but the more food we have stocked up, the happier people get, because up to 20 days worth of food is where they'll cap out, and they're very happy to have a lot of food in stock. The other thing is we need to do some research here. So let's go back to our research page and we'll unlock the blood sport. This costs 250 points, so it's kind of an expensive one, but it's pretty good. It does add a lot of happiness. So we'll unlock that. And it is under service, entertainment, and fighting pit. Now there's 3 sizes of fighting pit you can make. I would recommend just maybe doing it the smallest, or at least maybe doing the 4-employee one. There's not a big difference in terms of how much resources they use, so it's not that big of a deal. But the thing is, you don't want to make a really big one, and then if your empire is really big and expansive, then what happens is people have a really hard time getting over here to view it. So you're better off making 2 smaller ones. Let's say you have a town over here and a town right here. You're probably better off making 1 big one in between, or 2 smaller ones in each town so people can get to it easier. Those are the 2 options. Usually I default towards making the smaller ones and making several of them, just so people don't have to walk as far. Let's just do the 4-employee one here, because I know we're going to have a pretty dense area here, and we'll just put it down here on the bottom. It doesn't really matter where you put it too much. And of course, we're going to get some trees here. Now, this will happen sometimes too. You'll get requests from your neighbors. This person is requesting that we give them 19 bows and a little bit of cash. Now, you could accept it and you will lose those equipment, and you will pick up a little bit of a relations gain here. In this case, you get a plus 1.0. If you decline, you will lose 1.0, but you won't have to give up the materials. Our neighbors are small relative to us. We're pretty small as well, but they're small. They're not going to attack us at any point. Typically, you don't have to worry about getting attacked unless you're expanding heavily into some big empires, or if you have a big empire as a neighbor, that could be a potential problem. So if you're worried about relations, just accept, and you can always make more. In this case, I think we'll accept. and then we'll get a little bit of a relations boost here. So if you go back to the factions tab and then hover over this one, you can see trade partner and dealings. We got a 0.33 bonus from that. So they like us a little bit more because of it. The more people like you, the better deals you get on trade. So there is some benefit to doing it, but don't go overboard. Like you can see here, they were paying us 48 before, now they're going to pay 49. So it's a slight increase. Here we go. This is a big one. So we reached 220 population, which is Frontix Ray. We can unlock chambers. Do not ever build these, at least not in the current patch. They don't really do anything. They are supposed to be housing for your nobility, and we just unlocked our first noble here. So these guys basically are captains of whatever industry you want them to be, and you get a bonus to whatever it is that they're working on. So I'll show you that in just a second. We also get 10% happiness. So to be able to assign a noble, you have to do it manually. So you can zoom in, you can click on somebody, and then it brings up a bunch of info, and promote nobility is this button right here. However, don't do that. The best way to do it is to go up here to your population tab in the top left, sort by age, and then you want to find the youngest one possible. So this person's only 4 years old. She will make a good nobility, or he, I don't know, is this a girl? So she'll make a good nobility. Again, we'll elevate, and now we have this option to choose all these different things that we're using. So the most obvious one would be Master of Livestock. We can get up to a 20% bonus for our cow pastors. We are doing some other things, like we have some industry going, but I don't think that's nearly as good because we have over 100 people working livestock. So let's do that one. Now you don't get the full 20% right away. If you hover over the skill, you see the nobility is 10%. As that nobility survives longer, their bonus will go up to the full 20%. And it happens really fast. It's like maybe a year or two, and they'll basically be given their full bonus. It's I don't know the exact date, but it's pretty fast. That's why you want to sort by age and choose somebody who's young so that they can live longer and give you the nobility bonus for longer. So that's what we did there. And then you'll see our output is going to jump up again. We went from 120 to 133. Our food output is about 150. Now, here's one thing to keep in mind with food output. I didn't mention this earlier, but everybody eats at least half a piece of food per day. So if you have 200 people, you're going to need at least 100 food production to at least break even. In this case, we have 220. So that means we would need 110 food income to actually feed our people. In this case, our pastors are producing 149. So if you just multiply that by 2, that tells you how many people you can sustain. So it's about 150. We can have about 300 people without having to add another pasture. Obviously, we're going to go to 500, so we need to have at least 250 food production, which is fine because we're going to fill these 2 spots in very soon. So let's go down and pause, let a little bit of time go by so we can finish this building. People are going to be really happy about that. You can see our immigrants are streaming into here. They're very happy about the fight pit. We want to make sure we're staying ahead of the game on our food production because our population is going to grow pretty quickly. I don't think we need it just yet, though. We can probably put some research points into something else. One thing we're going to need a decent amount of is cut stone. You can see some of these buildings use this little fancy stones right here. We could buy it, but it's really easy to produce your own. So if you go under the research tab, go to the crafting section. That's on the left-hand side. And then on the towards the bottom right, you see this masonry. So this is going to allow us to turn regular stone into cut stone. So why don't we build one of these? So again, it is one of the crafting. So here, masonry. We're just going to build a carbon copy of this, slot that in right there, and I didn't do the right one. So let's delete that. We need to turn this into masonry. There we go. Again, make sure that touches all the usual stuff. There we go. So once that's done, we'll have some people working in there, and we also need to add some crates for cut stone. So back up to the warehouse. 5 crates is probably more than enough. Now, I noticed that our clothing is actually going down. That's because people wear out their clothes. If you go to your access page and you hover over the clothing, you can see it says wear out rate per item per year is minus 0.5. If everybody's wearing 2 pieces of clothing and each one item wears out halfway per year, that means 2 items will wear out 1 total clothing per year. So that means every person that we have, we need to make sure we are producing at least 1 per person. So 240 basically is what we need to produce. If we come down here, we are only producing 4 per day. So if you want to know what the yearly production for that is, you multiply by 16 because a year is 16 days. So 40, it's nowhere near enough, basically is what I'm trying to say. So we need to come into our tailor. Let's go ahead and bump those numbers up to maybe 10. See if that's going to be enough. That's going to be about 360, I believe. So that should be enough to not only clothe our people, but have a little bit of leftover to start building up a stockpile again. So that should be good. We also, this masonry requires some metal. So we need to import that. Again, we could do it the old fashioned way, which is just buy it manually. Or since we have trade agreements, sense, I think the easier way to do is just to go to your government tab, logistics, and go to the import depot. Now, this side was the export depot side. We're going to do the other side, the import depot side. So we're going to have imports right here. Let's just build 2. I don't think we're going to need much more than that. Somebody committed a crime here. So first crime has been committed. It's not a big issue for small cities, but yeah, when you start having a big town, it becomes an issue. And also crime will reduce loyalty. And if you reduce crime, it increases loyalty. So it's kind of a double whammy if you're not staying on top of it. We're not going to really cover that in this one. That'll probably be for another guide because it's a little bit more complicated. And at 500 people, we just don't need it. But just know under the government tab, law, there's a bunch of stuff in here that you can use to help stop crime. Like I said, I'll cover it in another guide. So decorations, I forgot to put our trees here. So let's do that before I forget again. Also, I forgot to put a road here for our warehouse. There you go. Now, to be able to import something, you need to have some storage space for it. So right here, we've got 160 storage space. Then you need to go to an import depot. Now, these are nice because they don't use employees. You give it instructions by figuring out what you want to accept. So in this case, we want metal. We can buy it for 183. And then we want to use this slider right here to tell the game when to stop importing. So we want to go up to maybe 80. Let's go to 80 metal. We have 160K in the bank. We've got plenty of money. So I'm not really worried about it too much. And then after a day or two, whoever is driving the import part, they're going to come by, drop it off, and then you'll see our money go down a little bit. There you go. They dropped it off. They're delivering it to the building. So we should be in good shape here. Here we go. And we got, let's put 10 people working this. Actually, we can go a little more. Let's go 12. We have a lot of labor here. You can see our population spiked pretty heavily here. 32. It's probably time to build another pasture. So let's go ahead and build another one right here. Here we go. We got 42 people available for work. They're going to knock this thing out pretty quick. Now, one thing to keep in mind, if you notice something that you're exporting is still just piling up too fast, like you can see here, they're not getting everything off the shelf because there's no room for it. And this export guy is not really doing a good job stocking it fast enough. You can just add another trader on here. So we'll add another laborer to the export depot and they should be able to export a little faster. It also increases our money pretty heavily. So we're at 155K, even though we're spending a bunch of money on metal. Also, now that we have a cut stone, the masonry, we've got cut stone, we can upgrade one building that we don't need any research for. So the stage, you can actually upgrade. It only costs 10 cut stone. So we'll just immediately do that. That's going to give us a nice bonus to happiness. How is our janitor doing? We put 5 people on there. It's way too much. Let's back that off to 3. Forgot about them. Also, these guys at the water pump have kind of a long commute. So why don't we make their life a little bit easier and we can give them a road over to their job site. How about that? And we hit 300 population. This unlocks a lot of stuff for law. It also increases our nobility count to +1 and happiness by 10%. So pretty good. We will spend this nobility. The next nobility we get, I'll let you decide which one to do. I would recommend doing the industry because we do have a decent amount of it. So again, go back to your population tab, sort by age, choose the next youngest. Our youngest is still noble, so she's still good. This next person we're going to promote. And then towards the top, you see Master of Industry. This one's going to give us a 10% to all the industries. We're using most of these already, and then some in the future we'll be using even more of. So I think this is a good one. We'll take that. And you can see the spike to efficiency here. It's going to go from 11 to 11.6. Not that much. But like I said, they start off with only half of their bonus. They'll get the other half as they increase their skill over time. Also, I've noticed our clothing is not keeping pace. So let's just jack this up to 24 and mass produce. And also I noticed we got a big spike of population. We are actually out of housing. So we have a bunch of homeless people. Let's build one more section. We're just going to copy and paste this and we'll build it right next to here. And actually this pasture finished pretty quickly. Let's add another employee. Remember, you always want to go one over on these big ones just to make sure you don't lose animals. So we'll put 28 on there. And you can see up here, we have 140 people working in pastures. So we have a lot of people in this industry. And remember I mentioned the more people you add, the higher the bonus goes. So the experience before this pasture was only 1%. Now it's at 3%. If we add another one, it's going to go even higher. But let's build our housing first. There's another couple things we need to do before we expand our food production because we're in really good shape here actually. And then you'll notice that our warehouse is, oh shoot, I just realized we're out of stone. So this could happen. And part of the reason is because masonry is taking up a lot of stone, 26 per day. So that makes sense. Let's come over here. We're going to pick up a bunch of stone from the floor. So clear rocks. Let's get everything in this area. That should be enough for a while. And then we've already expanded our warehouse several times. We don't really have any more space because we are starting to block it in with import and export depot. The other way you can increase your storage capacity is to upgrade the actual warehouse itself. So if you click on the warehouse, there's an upgrade button right here. This says boost plus 220. That is per crate 220. So basically every crate we have in here is currently giving us 8 storage. If we upgrade this, it goes plus 220. So basically 300 storage per crate. It's like triple, almost triple the size. That's a pretty good bonus, and it's going to cost us only 256 furniture, which we have pretty much an infinite amount of furniture because our map is covered in wood. So we're going to upgrade that, and you can see here our food capacity is now at 4,500. That's probably a bit too much. Let's back this down to 3,000. Rations, we can go up to 1,500. We're going to need to build these really soon so our troops can eat when they leave town. 1,500 for stone is fine. 3,000 for wood is fine. Livestock, let's bring it up to 900. Get rid of grain because we're not using it. We got 3,000 for leather. That's probably okay. And then most of these should be 1,500. 1,500 is good. Now you do have to be careful. We just upgraded our storage, but we have an agreement right here to import up to half of what our storage was. And because we just made our storage massively huge, it's actually going to import a lot more now. So what I did is I got rid of one crate here, and then you could also scale this back if you want. So 150 is probably too much. Let's just go to 90. We'll keep our stockpile of metal at 90. So we don't want to keep a lot of it in store. It's going to take a while for a lot of these to build their supply back up, which is good because we were capped out on a lot of things. So now we have a lot of labor and we don't have a lot of research points to spend. So that means we need to put more people in here. Let's go up to 28. That's not actually a good number. That's not high enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually redo this whole thing. So let's go ahead and delete this building. I'll show you how to remodel because this is not really a good building. I wanted to at least do this once or twice where we had to remodel some stuff. So let's just delete these. And again, you go to the smart remove and then you just select a bunch of these things. Get rid of all the walls. The roads aren't a big deal. Get rid of that. Now what we're going to do is build a research station that's connected to all these housing because these people will have an easy walk to get to work. So again, we go to admin laboratory and we're going to build it, line up your walls with the corner and push it in one so that they have a shared wall. We're going to go all the way across. We're going to go down, so it's going to be a 46 by 5. That looks good. We need to put doors right here so that people can get in from their housing and get to work. And then we need to build our stations. So this one is going to be along the wall as much as you can without blocking the door. There we go, like that. And then the other wall as much as you can get. So this is going to create 66 worker space, which is what basically triple the size we had before. So let's go ahead and build that. I forgot to put doors, so we're going to put the 2 doors here. Whoops. There we go. Now we want to put up to about 10%, so 35 is fine for now. Okay, so we got our little supporting structures built here as well. Now, one thing you'll notice is we're a little bit lopsided here. We've got a bunch of supporting infrastructure here, a bunch of housing over here, and there's nothing over here. So what we can do, anytime somebody wants to go eat something, if they live and work over here, they have to walk all the way over here, grab it, and walk all the way back. And then they want to go to the bathroom, they have to go all the way over here, go to the bathroom, and all the way back. It's very inefficient for your people. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a copy of the area. So again, go to your settings, copy area, go ahead and copy from the top left where your hearth is, and then just drag it all the way down. Make sure you get your bathrooms and stuff. And then if you want, you can get rid of the religious buildings. They don't go to them nearly as often, so you don't have to have duplicates of that as much. We'll build some more later, but for now, we can just get rid of it. If you want to get rid of stuff from your copy, hold shift and then drag and click, and then you can get rid of this, anything you don't want. So let's go ahead and copy this. We're not going to build a carbon copy, I don't think. I think it's probably better to rotate it and have it a different angle maybe. So we'll line the tree up here so that it fits like that. And that's going to go ahead and build all this support structures over here so people have easier access to it. People will be much happier about it. Our janitor, we have too many now. Let's drop these down to maybe 2 in each one. That should be plenty. And for some reason, the settings for your marketplace carry over, but the settings for the food don't. So you have to come in here and click all these off again. We've got 59 people available to work. I think we should do our last pasture just because it's going to help us, make more money. Why don't we just do that? And you can never have too much food. I mean, if you make too much food, you just sell it. But it's always good to have your food like buttoned down 100%. Right? How are we doing on our military? 70%. Yeah, we got to hurry. As soon as those guys are done training, we want to get them out in the field. So there's a couple things we need to do before that. We need to build some rations because that's what they eat. And then we need to build some of these army supply depots because that's how supplies get to your people once they leave the town. If you don't have those, they will immediately leave because they don't have food or clothing. So here we go. Let's make sure this has got 28 people and they are good. Now we have 168 employees in this industry, which takes us up to, I thought we were already at 6%. Maybe we're at 3. Yeah, so 6%, not bad. We're going to probably reach the cap for food here pretty soon. So I'm going to just preemptively put our export depot in order. So let's put the pool source, have them sell meat, add an employee to it, and then set the sell limit at 90%, just so we don't keep any extra. We don't want to sell a big chunk of our stash. It's not a good idea. So that should be good for that. Now, what we want to do is create some expansion, but I don't know how much of these we're going to need in the future. So let's just create a couple export depots. Let's do like 6 total on this side. And then the import depot, we probably don't need to import nearly as much as we need to export. So let's just do like 4 of these things. And then let's start working on these army supply depots. Now, what these do is these are basically temporary storage for whatever materials you're sending to your troops. So we're just going to build them like this facing outward. Make sure the fork is like facing outward because that's where the people that work here, they need to get in. They'll go to storage, they'll drop it in like that. If you put it facing each other, they'll actually block you. They can't get in. So here we go, put our road. Now, again, it's going to automatically put some workers in here, so make sure you click on there and take them off. As soon as we start to produce a bunch of stuff, we're going to want to have these things ready to go so we can sell excess, but we also don't want to take up our precious workers. Speaking of which, we probably need to produce more furniture, so let's cap out our carpenter. So we have capped out tailor and carpenter. Let's add more bow makers. Let's go up to 12. 212 is not that much. We want to produce a few more than that. And then the cut stone, we could probably scale back on this some. Let's take this back down to 4. 282 is a lot. Usually a building that needs it for upgrade is going to use like 10 to 20. So you don't need that much. Now let's talk about the army supply depots. If you click on it, you'll notice it puts automatically 2 people to work there. We'll drop that down to 1 and then turn off the AI worker adjustment. We don't ever want that. If you want to do all those at once, you can actually do it from this screen right here. So you can do the minus sign to take them down to 1 and then check this one to get rid of auto employment. And actually, let's just get rid of all the employees. We don't need it yet. We'll put them back on soon. But basically what you want to do is you want to choose what item is going to be stored here. So for example, this one, we need at least clothing. And then we tell which warehouse to pull those resources from. And then we want to pull from 0%. That's fine. You can leave that alone. Fetch limit, increase it to the max. No big deal. So that is clothing. We need to have at least clothing and food. That is the bare minimum. There we go. And then we also need our bows and arrows. Those will come from that one. And then we probably also want to get some leather armor. We might produce that at some point, but we'll get that just in case. There we go. So those are ready to go as soon as we start to prepare to send these guys out. 80%. We're almost there. So why don't we start converting some of our food into rations so that we can actually feed our army? So we're going to come down here to crafting. You can see ration maker right here, or like always, just take one that already exists. So we'll switch this to ration maker. And I think in this case, let's just follow the pattern we've got up here. And we don't really need as much harmony up here. So we won't have a tree along the pasture. We will have a tree along here though. So we'll leave space for that. So ration maker, there we go. So ration maker, we got 12 people. We don't need that many. Let's scale that back to 10. And then also you'll notice right here, we can change the recipe. So right now it's converting bread into rations. We don't have any bread. So we need to switch it to something we do have. We do have meat. The only problem is we don't have any herbs and we need to import some of that. So let's go ahead and switch this to the herbs. So meat and herbs will turn into rations. We need to import some herbs. We'll come over here, select herbs. We need to actually allow a crate to carry herbs. So we'll go to our storage, do that, and then we slide the adjuster until we get to the number we want. I think 90 is probably fine. That's a pretty safe number. And like I said, we have a lot of money, so we really don't have to worry about that. Another thing, we're going to start upgrading some buildings and we're going to need some pottery. So let's go ahead and import some pottery. So we're going to add a crate for that. Let's go ahead and import pottery up to maybe like 60. Yeah, 60 is fine. We don't need that much pottery. It's just to do a couple upgrades and then we don't need any more. You could give pottery to your people because they do want it. They like it. But I don't think we're going to really have any issues with happiness and loyalty. We'll get to 500 pretty easily here after we do a few more upgrades. I don't think we have to worry about that. Oh, also, I've noticed some of these things are having a lot of stockpile. They're not actually getting back to the warehouse. See, this one's got a lot of items in it. What that means is your warehouse needs more workers. So let's come in here and put maybe 4 more. So we'll go to 8 total and we'll see if they, yeah, see, they immediately grabbed it. So adding more people does make a big difference. And also our rations are going up, so that's good. And we're out of housing yet again. Yeah, we only need one more set of 100 because we're going to only go up to 500. So one more set, we should be good to go for the rest of the game until, I guess when you're doing your own thing, you can figure out what you want to do. But in terms of where to build the housing, it just depends. If we're going to continue to build out this way or south, we would want to put the housing somewhere down there. That would probably make the most sense. We could also put it mirror image to this. We would have to redo this and put inlets so that people can walk past through, but that would be an interesting population center like this. Yeah, probably not. Too much work. Let's just build one. Let's build a copy of this one. And we're just going to put it over here on this side. Like that. Now, we are starting to get some pottery in. Let's go ahead and spend some of our research points so we can get more immigration in. So if you go to your civic, the top left is refined taste. It only costs 50 points. We'll do that one. And then down under architecture, right where we did the paved roads, we're going to go all the way to the left, fancy markets. So these two both require pottery, and we're going to click on our food stall. And you can see right here on the left, it lists all the stalls that we have. You can see the upgrade is 0 out of 1. That's what this +1 means right here. This plus means it's the lowest level. If we upgrade, you can see it goes to 2+. And instead of having to find it on the map, you could just literally click it right here and then upgrade it again. Now we got both of these at 2+. Let's go to our market, upgrade both of these. Although we need to import more. Yeah, we only have 16 left. Let's let one shipment come in and then we'll upgrade those again. There we go. We got another shipment and those are both upgraded. So that's going to skyrocket our loyalty here. There's a couple more things that we can do pretty easily. Let's do probably Posh Relief. This one's really good. This is under the health tab where we did our plumbing. It's going to be right below that. This is going to allow us to upgrade the bathrooms. So again, this needs some pottery, which we need to import some more. And it also uses the cut stone, which is what we're producing on our own. Oh, speaking of cut stone, we are getting low again. We're halfway through our cut stone. So why don't we go clear some more rocks? Do some more up here. There we go. We got another shipment of pottery in. Let's upgrade this bathroom. You can see it changes into a really nice looking bathroom. And that's max level. We need another shipment before we can do this one. Yeah, this one's going to make us wait. There we go. There is 2 bathrooms upgraded. And like I said, you can see under the services tab, the stage, we were at 50% before. We upgraded that. Now it's 100%. The food stalls, that was at 50% for the upgrade. Now it's working its way up to 100%. The market, same thing. And then the lavatory, we just upgraded it, but it will, if we let some time pass, you can see the upgrades going from 50%. It'll work its way all the way up to 100%. That's a pretty big one. Somebody wants to become our colleague, which is not a bad thing. It just basically means you don't get to attack people. It's like a promise not to attack somebody. These guys are trade partners, so we're not going to attack them anyways. So we can just accept it. It's only going to cost us 2 grand. We have 281 in the bank. We're going to get a relations boost from that, which means they're going to give us better pricing on some of the materials we're importing and exporting. You can see here, they're giving us good deals on some of this stuff. And I think the final upgrade we'll do is probably the hearths. So let's go back to our research. And again, under architecture, below paved roads, you're going to see fancy hearths right here. We'll take that one. And then these 2 hearths, we can upgrade it. It requires a little bit of metal, which we have, and then the cut stone, which we have plenty of. So those 2. And again, you'll see our population is just going to skyrocket again. Now, at this point, we are pretty much set. There's not really a whole lot else that we need to do. I'm just going to show you how to take some land so that you can be more than just this one town. I don't want to cover too much beyond this because there's a lot to the game. And if I show you everything, it's going to kill the fun. But what I'm trying to do is give you a really solid base where you can create a save file from where you have at least 500 population. You've got, maybe 4 or 5 towns sending you resources. And then you can go and experiment with all these other buildings. There's so many buildings to play with. A lot of stuff you can make, but this should be a pretty solid base. Let's go ahead and speed it up until we get these guys fully trained, and then we're going to go back on the map. Actually, no, one more thing. Why don't we do this? Let's go ahead and unlock the research. So go to your research technology, and towards the bottom, you see crafting section. And then in the middle, you see there's tailoring basics. And then to the right of that is makeshift armor. We are producing a massive amount of leather, and that's what leather armor is made out of, obviously. So we'll click that for 200 points. And then let's go ahead and make another tailor, and we'll do it on this side because we're kind of running out of space on this side. So we'll have some more manufacturing over here. So we're going to go down to tailor, make a copy, get that to butt up against that. You kind of know the drill at this point. Now, anytime you produce a new material, you need to make sure you add some warehouse space. So let's get 1500 space for that. We're going to go to our tailor and we're going to increase this to max, actually, yeah, max size. And then we need to change the recipe, right? So go down here to leather armor and they'll start producing that. It's time to start filling up our army supply depots. So let's go ahead and add employees here. Let's go to one of each. We've already set them up. We did the groundwork, so they will just automatically refill these things. You can see as we unpause, they're going to start filling these things up with materials. There you go. So this one is filling up with food, clothing, bows and arrows. And then when we produce leather armor, they will actually go here. Yeah, there it goes. So they're going to start producing armor. There you go. And you can see this guy's pretty much full. We got a little more to go on the clothing, and then the bow and arrow is pretty much full. Actually, can we? Yeah, we can make more bow and arrow. Let's just max that out. One thing you want to keep an eye on is making sure that you're not going to just run out of stuff because you're producing a lot more. You can see here, hovering over our leather, we still have a net positive about close to 70. So we're good. We're going to still be able to export some leather and make a little bit of money. You probably want to sell the end product though, rather than selling the intermediate product. I'll give you a perfect example. So if we look at this right here, the bow and arrow, we use 4 wood and 1 leather to produce 0.4 bow and arrow. So if we were to do, what is it, 4 wood, 1 leather, and it only produces 0.4. So we would actually have to do 5 of these things, right? 5 to produce 2. So 2, 5 times 4 is 20, 5 times 1 is 5. So basically, if we were to sell the wood and the leather separately, we would get about 200 and something. If we sell the bows all together, we would get 616. So it's like 3 times better to just put all your resources into producing as many bows as you can and selling these rather than selling the leather. Now, the leather has been a good product to us in the meantime because it helped us get to a couple hundred thousand, allowed us to buy pottery, herbs, all this stuff we were able to buy because of the leather. So don't get it wrong. It's still good to sell those products, but your end goal should be to produce these items down here in the bottom half and not sell the stuff up here. Obviously, you want to sell the stuff up here if you can't produce it fast enough anyways, but I'm just saying that would be your end goal if you can get there. And we officially hit 500 population. This is definitely where the mid game starts. So this is going to be where we're going to pause this and we will start the next section of the video. The next section is going to be a lot shorter. We're almost done. Hang in there. This is where the game really opens up and becomes 10 times more fun than it's already been. Hopefully it's been fun to this point anyways. Let's talk about this first. So we unlock admin building and an embassy. We unlock +2 nobility and a little bit of loyalty. There's a lot of things we can take for this nobility upgrade. We're not going to do any of these though, because I want you to be able to choose how you want to proceed, but just a couple things. I would probably gear my research pretty heavily. I would probably go that direction, and then maybe one of these industry buildings. You probably don't need any of these raw materials because, as you'll see very soon, we're going to get a lot of very easily obtainable raw materials from other towns. So you probably want to go more towards the industry. But let's go. I'm going to pause here, speed this up until we get all of our guys fully trained. We have 8 out of 20, so that's pretty good. We can actually go really soon. So what I recommend at this point is to create another save file so that if you mess something up, you can just come back to this. So I'm going to go ahead and create Grandma Guide number 3. This is the 3rd time we've paused, and then we'll come back and take over the world. So now we're moving into the final phase, which is really moving into, I would say, the mid game. Definitely not late game because we haven't conquered anything yet, but this is solid mid game. Before we spend a bunch of time on the campaign map and controlling our army, you probably want to get your town set up a little bit more nicely. Right now we have 112 people that have nothing to do. If we go off to war, we're just going to be distracted and there's no way we're going to come back here and micromanage our people. So let's find something for them to do. Let's put a maximum amount of people on our masonry so we can build up a little stockpile of cut stone. We don't want to do too many more on the ration maker because it's going to eat into our meat supply. We're going to eventually run out of food, but we'll have that solved soon. Probably not a big deal. We also need to make sure that our army has all the resources that they need. So let's come back up here and we're going to edit these guys. And you can see here, they don't actually have the leather armor. They don't actually get it. So let's make sure they have it equipped. We got 100% training, full bows. We're good to go. So let's go ahead and accept that. And then now we need to find something else for the rest of our workforce to do. So what I would recommend doing is just creating some more archery ranges. You can never have too many of these. So I'm going to create 2 more. And the reason why is it's going to soak up 40 more people to have them do something rather than just sitting around doing nothing. And more importantly, it's going to train all of our civilians so that we start getting rated, which is going to happen pretty soon. You can see here, hovering over the army tab, it says our total is 1.708. As soon as that 1.0 goes below 1, then you will start to get rated. And it's not a matter of if you get rated, it's a matter of when you get rated. The farther below 1.0 you go, the more likely you are to get rated, and the more frequently you will get rated. So if you have a lot of people that are trained to wield the bow and, you know, defend the town, you're going to be in very, very good shape by the time that raid comes around. I'm going to increase the amount of bows we have to, let's take it up to 3K because we're going to need quite a few. Yeah, that should be fine. Okay, so this is going to build as soon as it's done. These people are going to come in here and start training, so we don't have to worry about that. Let's just start getting our troops ready. So in the top right, we're going to go to the world tab. It's going to take us out to the campaign map, and you can see our towns right here. We're going to, in the top left, click on the army tab. We're going to go to recruit, and it's going to throw up an army right near our capital. And we have a couple options here. We could recruit mercenaries, which is this tab right here. They're pretty expensive, and the units they give you are just not that good. They can fill the gaps if you're getting attacked and you just don't have time to train people. They can be good for that. And if you have a massive amount of money, you can just overwhelm people by spending money and doing it. I think it's kind of boring though. I don't really recommend using mercenaries because I think it kills the fun of the game a bit. But yeah, you can use these guys. We have a lot of money, we could definitely afford them, but we're not going to do that. The other option is we could have troops from our city, which is what we're going to do. Now, the only ones that are going to join us are the ones that are fully trained. So even though we have a unit of 100 units, not all of them are fully trained. So only the ones that are 100% are going to actually leave the city to join us to fight, which is what we want. We don't want everybody to join us. We do want more than 9 though. What happened? Did somebody die? Maybe somebody got headbutted by a pig or something. Yeah, somebody got mauled and somebody died of aging. I bet you one of our trainees died. Yep, fully trained, only 9. That sucks. Okay, well, we'll try and make it work. And this is why I recommend creating a save file, because you never know what's going to happen. And then if you want to reload and retry it, at least you don't have to go back and redo the whole thing. So create a save file and then let's go to war. Now, we had access to a town that was really close to us. It was a free city, but it looks like they got snapped up by the AI. The AI does conquer free cities or free land, so you want to get this done pretty quickly, which is why it was one of the first things we did with our research points. So we're going to attack this guy. He's kind of far away, but you'll notice a lot of the traveling is done on river and the lake, which is really fast. So it'll go a lot faster than you think it is. Yeah, there it goes. And as soon as we get in range, they are going to sally out and attack us. And you can see right here, we're getting accosted. It's 10 versus 109. You might think, well, that's a terrible idea. Why would you do that? We're going to engage. The reason we're doing it is because these guys are, anybody from the militia are very lightly armored. They don't have any weapons. And all they have is 2 pieces of leather out of the 4, so they're not really well armored. And our bowmen are fully trained, 100%. They do a lot of damage, and they have fully equipped bow and arrow. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to select your units. You could either drag, mouse over like that, or you can just click them up here. And then you're going to want to click and drag their unit formation like this, kind of like in Bannerlord. So you just put them right there. And up here at the top are the commands for your units. There's only a couple you need to really pay attention to. We want to have our troops sprint. It will fatigue them faster, but that's not a problem for archers that are fully trained. They have really good fatigue. So have them sprint, put them a decent distance away from these guys so we can actually get shots off. Actually, let's put them further back. One thing with this game is when somebody's in the trees, like this is a bunch of trees, it's going to block a lot of those arrows. So we don't want to fight them like that. Let's go ahead and start. So up here at the top, we click start, and then we speed the game up to let it go. As they get closer, they're going to get blasted. You can see they can't even proceed because they're just getting absolutely destroyed by our archers. And that's it. That's the battle. That is the battle. But this works really well against free lands because free lands, they only use their militia. They don't actually train their troops. So you can get away with this. If you were to go to war with a big group, you would want to have like 150 archers, 300 archers, something like that. And then maybe a little bit of a front line to help distract their melee troops. But as it is, we're going to use it to our advantage. So after battle, we're victorious. We get the spoils of war, which is 109 pieces of leather, and we could take prisoners. There's 16 Talapi we could take prisoner. We could do this to turn them into our citizens. We can turn them into our slaves. We could turn them to slaves and sell them, or we can just release them, or you could execute them. I don't really recommend executing them. Either capture or release. In this case, we want to release because we don't have any way of using these guys. You need to build some buildings if you want to convert these guys into slaves. So just release them. It gives you a little bit of chivalry, and And chivalry is basically a opinion modifier for all of the people that are around you on the map. And if you start pissing people off, they will attack you. So generally just release people, keep your neighbors happy, and then go from there. If you're short on money, then you probably did something wrong in your city. You should probably never be short on money and need to capture people to sell for slaves, but you could do that if you really wanted to. Each of these guys will sell for about 5 grand each. So that's what, 50, 80 grand almost. It's a lot of money. So we're going to release them, accept, and then we don't capture the city yet. We just fought them outside. We need to actually attack the city. So click on the city again, and we rush over there and we took it. Now we have a couple options here. We could take prisoners again. You can see there's a ton of prisoners here. This is a really good way to make money and get prisoners. But again, you're going to reduce your chivalry and piss people off. Just release them. And then down here on the bottom, you have 3 options. You have mercy, sack, or raise. Literally all this means is, do you want to get resources and trade it for chivalry? So if you do mercy, you get no resources, but you get a large amount of chivalry. So 61% or 60%. If we sack the town, we get just a little bit of chivalry, and we could take prisoners, and we get some grain. We have no use for grain, so that's totally useless. However, it does damage the lands, and it takes about 2 years to repair the lands. So it makes your lands pretty useless if you want to occupy them. Or you can raise, and it gives you, even less chivalry and even more materials. Just do mercy, just release mercy, don't worry about it. And then at the very bottom, you can occupy it if you want to control it. Abandon it just means they keep it, and then, you just walk away and you can attack it again later. Or you can puppet it. Don't ever puppet anything. This is not really worth it unless you're really advanced into the late game. I would not recommend puppeting people at this stage of the game anyways. So that'll be for another guide. So just occupy it. And you can see we got a huge boost to our relations. Actually, if we come here, you can see our chivalry is 1.62, which is a huge, it's a very, very big boost to relations. So really good. Now we get to do something with our town. So this is our town, Uvenfeld. So I'm going to click on it, and it's going to pull up a bunch of stats here. I'm not going to talk about too much of this because most of it's not really that relevant for you until you really get in. Further down, I would say right here, this is going to be your current population. You can see right here, we're currently at 348 population. The target's only 29 people. So this place got ravaged pretty bad. We're going to fix that up though. Down here at the bottom, we're going to click on this buildings tab. And then we always start with a city hall. So let's build that. If you ever want to upgrade a building, you have to double click on it. So you click it once to build, you click it a second time to bring up this, and then you can see all the different upgrades you can do. Each building has different upgrades. You can see all of them right here. And if you want to get rid of a building, you click on it and you click this clear button. Don't really worry about anything up here. All we're focused on is these resource buildings down here. We're going to be trying to get as many resources from these as we can. We're going to capture maybe 5 to 10 of these, and then we'll probably end the guide there. But essentially, these towns, we're going to instruct them to send us back resources, and they're going to do it every single day. We get a shipment from them every single day based on whatever we want them. We tell them to send us. We are only able to build enough buildings based on how much workforce we have. You can see by building this small village, it gives us +6 workforce. And then by clicking on these, it's going to use workforce. So most of these use 3 each. The mushrooms cost 4. These animals all cost 4 each. Some of them are 5. Most of them are 4, like the pastures. These are all 4. The fish are 4. All these down here cost 5 workforce each. So in this case, we really are interested in fruit and herbs because we're importing herbs. But if we have our town sending it to us, we won't have to pay for the import. That'll save us some money. We could also get some fruit orchards, which is going to send us fruit. And that's another food source that we need. And again, we can upgrade this to a second to give us a little bit more. Like I said, you click on it once to build it, and you click on it again to upgrade it to a level 2 and beyond. So level 2 is going to pay us 133. If we were to do the herb farm, we could send 80 herbs. And then you'll notice these green arrows and the red arrows. The green arrows basically means this land specializes in producing this material, so you get more of that. Red means this land has none of it, and you're going to get a big debuff to it. Obviously, none means it's just right in the middle. So if you hover your mouse over, like let's say this, it says your production rate is 25, but if we build it, you could see it's actually 38. And that's because, like I said, you've got the green arrows. That means you're getting a bonus. So instead of 25, you're actually getting a bonus up to 38. Yeah, it looks like it's a 54% bonus. So I think in this case, rather than taking a lower yield for the fruit orchards, we'll get fruit from some other town. We'll take the herbs for now. We'll get 80. We'll accept that. Let's go back to our town because not only are we not going to need these herbs, let's just turn this off. So we don't need that anymore. But the other side of that is we're probably going to get inundated with herbs because we're going to get 80 per day. And you see our ration makers only using 7 per day. So that is a problem. Our stockpile is just going to get swarmed. So let's build this up to maybe 1500. We'll have a little bit of a reserve. And then let's go ahead and set up a trade route for this. So one of these empty export depots, go ahead and attach it to your warehouse. Select your herbs, and let's sell down to, let's sell up at 50%. So once we hit 750 herbs in our warehouse, anything above and beyond that, they'll start selling. And herbs are actually quite expensive. You can see right here, 27. It's even more than the meat, and not quite as much as the leather, but pretty good item to sell. So we'll make some money off of that. Now we need to start working on our next town. Now, before you start marching off to another town, you do have to keep an eye. You always want to make sure you have enough food. You could, if you hover your mouse over the supply, it'll tell you how many rations you have. You can see right here we have 1300, and we're only using 72 per year. So these guys basically don't ever have to stop for resources. We have a lot of supplies. So let's go ahead and attack the next closest one, which is over here along the coast. But we'll speed that up. And again, they come out to attack us, so we'll engage. And like I said, same thing. It's just kind of a joke. We just need to get them a little further away so they don't get hit by anything. Now, these guys don't have weapons, but what you have to be careful of is they will actually throw, I don't know if it's javelins or rocks or something, but these guys, if they get close to your troops, they will actually kill them. So don't let them get too close. You know, how close is too close? Probably like right here. So from right here to where archers are, that would be maybe too close. So like in this case, we want to back up. Don't even give them a chance. Maybe we lost somebody in the last battle because we let them get too close. I'm not sure. Now you'll notice our archers did run out of arrows. You see that bar up here? This orange bar was how many arrows they have. They are completely out. They do regenerate passively on their own, but it's a very slow rate. It's not nearly as fast as the firing rate if you had a full set of arrows. So once you run out of arrows, just keep moving back. Just move back slowly as they get close, and then you'll be just fine. So you can see we're still pegging them with arrows. Yeah, we don't want them to get close again, so let's back up. And because we're sprinting, there's no way they can keep up with us. And this last guy's bleeding to death. There he goes. So we got ourselves another town. So we're going to release, make sure we go attack it before they resupply. And then again, we're going to mercy and occupy. And let's see what these guys have. So again, we're going to click on this building, this down here. We're going to click on the small village building, and then let's see what they can produce. Now, these guys have 2 up arrows for the fruit orchard, which is not bad. We'll take it. We'll go level 2. That's going to give us 214 food. That's actually a really large amount because I think our meat's barely producing like 250. Yeah, not even 250. It's 238. We're basically, all the hard work we put into this, we could have basically matched it just by getting one small town without any, I mean, it's got a level 2 with no upgrades. Like, this thing's tiny. You can go all the way up to a metropolis that has, what, 294 workforce. So you can max out like a bunch of these things. It's pretty crazy. So having a bunch of these little towns is really, really powerful. All right, so before we move on to the next town, we need to make room for this. So let's come in here and let's add storage for 3,000 fruit. And we already have fruit enabled. So as soon as they get in, our food stalls will start carrying it. People start eating it. That's going to increase their happiness even more because, like I said, food preferences, it's going to go up. So we're good there. Let's continue. We'll just keep attacking people. So the next closest one is down here, and they're already coming out to engage us. Yeah, like I said, pretty broken. These archers are like Fiend champions. There we go. Got that without any casualties. And again, we got to get them there pretty quick. They're probably going to respawn. Oh, they didn't actually. All right, so we can take this one pretty quickly. Now, what do they have available? We're already getting fruit and we're already getting herbs. We don't need to worry about those. Another thing we could start getting right here, we could get ore. We can turn that into our own metal rather than having to import it. I don't think that's too high in the priority list, though. I think it's very important to get all of our food sources covered. Now, elves love eggs, and the only way you get eggs is through these globdine pastures. These are basically turtles. So we're going to do, and unfortunately, you can't upgrade this one because it costs 5. So the only way we're getting upgrades on these other ones is when you have these ones that only require 3. So we'll build that, and it does leave us with 2 workforce available. We could put another building. This increases happiness, or it increases loyalty. It reduces the size of your population, but who cares? Make sure people don't rebel. You generally don't have to worry about rebellions in the early game when you're keeping small towns like this, because low populations are really easy to keep happy. But, you know, we don't have anything else to do with the workforce, so you might as well spend it anyways. So again, we need to go back and increase storage for eggs, make sure we have room for them to come in. And if you want to know, when you start to see, we're going to collect a lot of towns really quickly, and you don't really know what you're getting. In the top left here, you can click on realm, and you can see all the towns that you own and what they're sending sending you. You can see other stats like their loyalty, how much money they're sending you each day, things like that. This is really good to help keep track of, you know, oh, where am I getting eggs from? Where am I getting fruit from? Do I already have enough fruit coming? And if you're not sure, this doesn't really tell you what the total amount of resources you're getting. So there's another way to do that. If you come up here to the top and then all the way on the left is goods, this column right here tells you what your taxes are, what you're getting from other towns. So we're getting 65 eggs, we're getting 258 fruit, we're getting 11 meat, and 4 animals. For livestock, and we're also getting 73 herbs. That's how you can tell what you're actually getting without having to, you know, add them all up manually. So once you start to pile up your resources in towns, it's going to come really handy to know what you already have and what you need to add. So let's keep expanding. Let's get maybe 2 or 3 more, and then we'll probably call it a day. All right, we got another one and another town. So like I said, following these steps, you can really expand your empire pretty quickly, and I think getting into the parts of the game that are actually really fun. Now, this town's not really that good for a lot of things, so I guess probably just more eggs. We're not getting a lot of eggs from that other town, so this will help. So we'll double up on eggs, and if you look here, we are getting 111 now, so that's pretty good. Probably not enough to sustain, but it's decent enough. There's a couple towns back here that are nice and isolated, so let's go after those. Those will be really easy to protect in the future, so those will be good ones to attack now. Pretty easy battle, like always, and we're going to occupy. Now, this one is kind of in a weird spot. Usually when you get closer to the edge of the map near mountains, if they don't have these resources on the map, then they're just not going to be producing anything in a decent quantity. So like we could get meat, but we already producing a lot of that. So we don't really need a lot of this other stuff. We could start to produce some stone. Even though this one has 4 down arrows, it still produces 140. That's plenty. So I think we'll go with that one. We're converting a lot of stone into cut stone, so it's probably a good idea to actually do that. So that should cover that basis. Let's take these last 2 and then we're going to call it a day. I'll show you a couple more things that we're going to want to do here. Here we go. We got another town. Now, here's what I would recommend doing. You probably want to take in some coal and ore, or some clay pits and coal, and then start producing some of your own things. Like right now, we're importing clay, we're importing pottery, but we could just get some clay and make our own if we really wanted to. I think in this case, this coal mine isn't that bad. It's only 1 down arrow, so that's actually not bad. It's going to give us 180 coal per day. We could use coal for a lot of different things. I'm not going to show you everything, but you could use it to do a bathhouse. You could use it to open a restaurant, because those all consume. You can use it to produce ore if you combine it with an ore mine. So there's a lot of uses for it. So I think this is probably the right call. And then let's take this last town. Here we go, we got it. And again, this one, like I said, it doesn't really have anything all that good here. Now, you'll notice it does have some stone here because there's no down arrows. There's no green arrows, but there's also no down arrows, so that's not too bad. We could swap this one out with the other one that had, I think, 3 or 4 down arrows, and we'll end up getting more stone production out of this one. So by doing this, we're going to get 351 stone per day. There's no way we could spend that much. Like, we could literally cover the whole map in roads, and then we would never run out. So let's go ahead and do that, and let's go back and change this one to something else. See, we're getting the 4 down arrow, which means it's not as efficient. So we're going to switch this out and then switch it for maybe ore, and then we'll start producing some iron with that. How about that? Yeah, it's not a very good yield. 23 is not that good, but it's fine. So we need to increase storage space for coal and ore, and probably stone, because we have a lot coming in. We have a little bit more space for it. Now, also, I mentioned we're going to have a big excess of stone, so we probably want to sell excess of that. So why don't we do that right now? We'll sell up to, say, 50%. And because it's going to be such a high volume, let's put like three or four people on. I think that's going to be the right call for that. And then everything else looks like it's doing just fine. And you can see here, we do have eggs coming in. We have fruit coming in. People are very happy about having access to all the foods that they want. This will continue to go up as people eat the different types of food too. So that's good. And then obviously our food days will go up because we're going to fill the stocks. Let's let a day or two go by so we can fill up with coal and iron. And then I'll show you how to do that. And then I think we'll call everything GG at that point. So we wait a day or two. These materials actually they physically get shipped to you. So you can see right here on the campaign map, you can see caravan for 180 coal, 352 stone. There's probably another one somewhere back here. 102 leather. That's from the guys that we beat up. Oh yeah, also our troops, we probably want to send them back. This is one thing that's important I don't think I covered. You need to be able to keep your guys fully supplied. As you use supplies, you need to stop in friendly territory and wait until you get this fortified message. Once you're fortified, then they will start getting supplies from your supply depots. If you're moving around or you're in enemy territory, you will not be able to resupply. So make sure you go to friendly territory. I think you can do it in neutral territory too, but definitely friendly territory. And then stop moving for about half a day. You'll go from fortifying to fortified, and then you'll see your stockpile start to go up. So like as soon as we move, you can see now it's fortifying. If we wait a day or two, it'll actually fortify. Now we're getting supplies. So if you ever start to run low on food, just make sure you go to your own, a town that you own, and then stop for a little bit. Let's send our guys back. We don't need them out anymore. We conquered enough. In your game, I would probably recommend just going around the map, collecting as many of these free lands as you can, and just piling up all the resources you can, because they're not going to fight you. Nobody's going to declare war on you unless they neighbor your capital town. So you should be good for quite a while. Okay, so our troops are back. Let's go ahead and disband them. So we click on their army tab. We click on their picture right here. And then this button right here is disband. And that's going to send them back to the home base back here. You'll see they will join the workforce in just a second. Now, to be able to make metal, we need to unlock the research for it, which is in the top here, refining, metal smelter. We're going to click that. And then under the refining tab, metal smelter. Now, we haven't built anything under the refining tab. You cannot mix these things. Like you can't make something from the crafting to cover something under refining and vice versa. So like I can't make a layout for a ration maker and use it for a metal smelter. I have to make these from scratch. So metal smelter, let's go ahead and build one. It doesn't matter where you build it, just whatever size you want, doesn't really matter. We don't need this to be too big. And like I said, I'm just going to build something real quick here. Just get this over with. All right, not really a good design, but like I said, I'm just trying to get it done. So let's build this. And then you'll see right here, we have coal, we have some ore, and now we are producing iron. So it's going to produce fairly slow. It's going to use 21 per day. We are importing 23 per day. So we should be net positive on that. And then we have way more coal than we're using. So that's fine. We don't have to worry about that. And then you'll see our iron is going to start stockpiling back up. Let's go ahead and increase this to 1500. Cancel this because we don't need to import anymore. We're producing our own. And it'll slowly over time build up stockpile there. And there you have it. Now you're making metal. So at this stage in the game, I would say there's a couple routes that you're going to want to go. You're going to want to continue to increase your population size, probably go up maybe to 1,000 and then pause for a little bit. Make sure you can maintain. You want to make sure you can maintain enough food. As long as you have enough food and maybe some clothing for people, all the other stuff is not that big of a deal. Make sure you continue to expand your infrastructure with it. Make sure they have access to all this stuff not too far away. I would probably continue industry. Like I would build more metal smelters. I would take over more towns and try and get more ore, or just import it. You've got almost 500,000, so you can import a lot of ore, and then just keep growing. Start producing some high level armor like plate armor, some short swords and some shields. There's a lot of things you can do. You could just go the money route and just hire mercenaries if you really wanted to, and just have archers for defending your homelands. You could continue to spam a bunch of pastors and just become the captain of that industry. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. I'm going to cover a lot of what you can do in future guides, but I think that's going to be it for this one. I know this was a little bit of a longer one, but as you can probably tell, this game is incredibly complex, and I hope this helped simplify it enough to where you're actually having fun off your first playthrough. So let me know if you have any questions, anything I can answer. I will do my best. Otherwise, look forward to some other guides and content on this game in the very near future. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you for watching.